guys? Welcome back to another episode of From the Sideline, bro. And I'm back with my co-host Pete. And man, bro, we want to just thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Again, if you don't know, we're up on Spotify. I have it up on Apple Music in a couple of weeks. And man, give us your thoughts, man. Leave us some comments. Hit that like button over there, man. Don't forget to, tell your friends about it if you like it. Some of our takes, some of our bad takes, whatever. Let us know, man. Maybe you could come and be on with us and have a conversation with us. But right now, we're going to open it up with Pete's opening messages, and we're going to kick it to Pete. What's up, Pete?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Yeah, man. Good to see everybody. Nice to talk, everybody. Glad to be here another day on the podcast. I want to start our opening message off today with kind of what I ended in the final thought last week. I let everybody know that we had some good combat sports on television with the MMA and with the boxing. First, to start off with MMA, like I said, MMA is always action. It don't matter who the fighters are. But at the same time, it wasn't a stacked card full of a bunch of names that everybody recognized. But the biggest name that everybody recognized is obviously going to be your main event, which was the ladies and Miesha Tate and another girl that's not that famous that people don't know, but she's going to start getting there because the girl put the work on Miesha Tate. I'm not even going to talk about that girl too much. I'm just keep it really focused on Miesha Tate. No one is ever, especially us males doing this podcast, is ever going to criticize a person that has a 3.5-year layoff, has a couple babies, and comes back and does sports. And on top of that, does a sport that requires you to fight. So by no means at all, she deserves all the credit in the world. But at the same time, this quest, this journey that she talks about herself being on, as beautiful and as amazing as it is, unfortunately, I hate to say, I don't think it's going to end the way Miesha Tate wants it to end. I don't think it's going to go the way Miesha Tate plans and expects it to go, which is the whole reason why she's back doing this, which is holding up a belt at some point in time. Miesha, you were a great fighter. You had the belt at one point in time, but with the 3-year layoff and the fact that the division is just super stacked right now, and the fact that you just lost this fight, lost pretty darn good as well, now your ranking goes down. Even talking about even getting to another title fight means you still got to run through quite a few more girls just to have your ranking high enough to even have that title fight. And I just don't know if that happens. Doesn't mean you didn't have a great career. You still were able to call yourself a champ at one point in time. And it just might be time to hang it up. That's just my opinion on Miesha Tate. As far as the boxing is concerned, we had a great fight, but I got to step up and say something. As everybody may know, Shawn Porter, after the fight, did declare that he is going to retire. Yes, at the same time, right now, that may not mean anything because in the sport of boxing, as we all know, saying you're retired means absolutely nothing. These fighters nowadays, and even in years past, even more in years past, retirement means nothing. Something about getting punched in the face, they miss and they come back to it. They want to punch somebody in the face. They need to bleed a little bit to feel alive again. And that's not hard to really understand when that's what you've been doing your entire life. But everybody's getting on Shawn Porter's father for stopping the fight. And I will say this. Yes, did I think Shawn Porter was strong enough and tough enough and still in the fight where he maybe would have been able to recover and still continue and see maybe what could have happened the last 2 rounds? I totally agree. But when your father is the one in the corner for you, how are we going to get mad at this man's dad for looking out for his son's well-being? There is not one person in this world that could sit there and say they could watch their son, brother, cousin, or any family member get beat up or pounded on to the level of what maybe his father thought, and you not want to be there to protect your son. As far as I'm concerned, you have a better chance of being protected when you do have somebody as close as a family member in your corner. So all the people getting on Shawn Porter's dad for protecting him against Terrence Crawford, please, you'd want your father to do that for you, and you'd want to do that for your son as well. And that's pretty much it, man. Shawn Porter, great career. If you stay in retirement, nobody's going to be mad at you. You made plenty of money. You got $4 million for this fight. You got nothing to be upset about. You fought a good fight. You were in the entire fight. As a matter of fact, through the first 6 rounds, I even had you ahead. I thought you were doing very, very well. But at the same time, you did run into a guy that is a very good fighter. He's really close to the top of the list as being considered one of the best pound-for-pound fighters that we have out there in any weight division. And you just came across somebody that was a better man on that night. And you have nothing to hang your head down about. And great career, my man. Great career.
All right, I guess that's it from Pete. Man, I thank Pete for his opening message, man. It's kind of cool.
Always.
It's always cool hearing you talk about other stuff. But we got two guests in the building, so we're gonna get them in here. And we'll see you guys when they're in here, man. All right, guys, we back. All right, we got the guest in here. We got GK back. GK back with us, man. We missed him last week. And we got Uncle Frank back in the building, man. Tighten up.
Uncle Frank and the Billy, tighten up.
All right. How you guys doing? How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good.
Good, man. Everybody good.
Well, good to see both of you. Good to have you in the house. But man, let's jump into these NFL picks over the week, man. Starting with the New England Atlanta game. I took New England. I just know from how Atlanta been playing lately that they wasn't gonna get it done. So I'm gonna kick it to GK, man. GK, man. How'd you feel about the New England Atlanta game?
Yeah, I had New England winning, but I had Atlanta. Like, I thought it was maybe just going to be like by a field goal. I figured it was going to be close because Atlanta was home in the dome. The offense had been showing some pretty good signs, but yeah, I mean, they just got steamrolled by the Patriots in their own house. So doesn't surprise me at this point in the season. The Pats are just starting to click, and I think they're on a 5-game win streak, right?
There's something around that.
So yeah, so their defense is just doing exactly what they want, and Mac Jones is figuring it out. So looks like they're going to be a playoff team.
Uncle Frank, how'd you feel about the New England game?
Yeah, like I said last time, man. I got complete faith in Mac Jones. They're an actual playoff contender. I'm curious to see how they're gonna match up against us and our defense come Sunday. That's a big one that I'm worried about. As far as Atlanta, I have no faith in their defense and their secondary. They've always been a bad tackling team, and you saw it against the Patriots. They couldn't stop the run. Mac Jones had ample time in the pocket. He was hitting guys across the middle. He did whatever he wanted to do, and like I have no faith in the Falcons going forward whatsoever. I think they showed you who they really are.
Pete, talk about that zero, that dub that New England left on the board. There's a donut somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think the Patriots defense is just as good as any defense in football right now. Overall, with Belichick being there, they've always been a good defensive team. They just had a guy named Brady where you didn't get to notice the defense as much, I feel like. But with Brady not there anymore, a lot of the focus is on the defense. And you can see that they need that defense to be that good when you don't have Brady and those old playmakers that you used to have to make you win these games. So the defense, when you have a rookie quarterback, even though he's playing amazingly, he's the best rookie out of all the quarterbacks that are out there right now. You need that defense to be just as good as what they're playing right now to help keep them in the games when maybe the rookie isn't 100% on point that day. But right now, the rookie in Mac Jones is on point and the defense is on point. So they're flowing on all cylinders right now, man. Patriots look damn good.
All right. Anybody got anything else to add?
Just to piggyback on what Pete said, almost like when Brady first started his first 4 or 5 years, I want to say, maybe even a little bit longer than that. It was just all about the defense, and all he had to do was not crash the car, and then they were just going to win.
Yeah, New England always had a good defense. All right, moving on to the Colts and Buffalo game. We're gonna kick it to Pete. Pete, what you thought about this game? I had Buffalo winning. Obviously, Buffalo didn't win. They got
Colts was, if I remember correctly. I said last week. This game, the Colts was gonna that defense is super underrated. Now, I felt like they even went above what I said they was gonna do. I thought the game would at least still be close, but I thought the Colts were good enough to pull it out and get the upset. But they just spanked them from the opening door. And they did it in Buffalo. And Carson Wentz is playing better. With all that together, this is a team that if they can't win a division, they can definitely sneak into a wild card spot. And then on top of it, you can't mention this game and not talk about Jonathan Taylor. I mentioned that too. I said Jonathan Taylor is a top running back in this league. With Derrick Henry out right now, he might be the best running back in this league right now. Jonathan Taylor is amazing. Me talking about how good he was last week? No, I didn't predict 5 touchdowns, but he gave us 5 touchdowns. The man just could not be stopped. He's running all over the place. And also, too, you got to give credit to the offensive line. That's a very, very top offensive line in this football league, along with the Cleveland Browns offensive line. Yeah, Indianapolis is rolling right now. And even with their record being mediocre, just keep in mind, most of that mediocrity came at the beginning of the season. Right now, that's not a team I would call mediocre. Even if that's what their record shows, based on the way they've been playing and based on the way that they've been developing and getting better each and every week, that's not a mediocre team. And if you got them next on your schedule, watch out because you might lose.
Uncle Frank.
Jonathan Taylor, he's been showing you guys this since Wisconsin. I don't know why anybody's surprised. He's been consistent. He's been a great running back since Wisconsin, and he's got the league forgetting about everything Derrick Henry did those first 6-7 weeks. Not so much everything, but he's definitely on Derrick Henry Hills as far as being one of the top running backs in the AFC. The Colts are finding ways to win. When Carson Wentz doesn't turn the ball over, that's when they're at their best. When they're winning behind Jonathan Taylor and that great offensive line and their defense is stellar. They've always been stout. I said it last week that it was going to be a tough game on the defensive end. I'm not completely sold on the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what it is about them. Everybody's been on their tails. Everybody's had them as the best team in the AFC. I'm just not seeing it over these past 4 weeks. It seems like ever since we've seen them, we might have pulled their plug. We might have showed the league how to actually stop these guys. And from week to week, we've seen it's been getting tougher and tougher for the Bills. And it's just going to get tougher and tougher because they still got to see the Patriots twice. So that's going to be a couple interesting games to see later on in the season.
Okay.
So the Bills are who I thought they were. They were exposed. And here's the thing. When they look really good, the reason is because they play that cover 3 zone, right? And offensively, it's hard to stop Josh Allen when he's scrambling around and giving, all of his pass catchers enough time to get open because it's hard to tackle him. It's hard to catch him. If you play man and turn your back to him, he can run. And then he's got a monster arm, right? So the Bills are built to play very aggressively offensively. They don't run the ball. They just straight up don't run the ball. They're made so that they can go up by 14, 17 points and then play zone defense and then rush the passer and get interceptions by looking at the quarterback. And that's how they succeed, right? So when you have a team like the Colts with a really good offensive line beating up a really bad defensive line, well, not really bad, but not the best, right? Running the ball, controlling the clock. Carson Wentz only had to complete 11 passes. They can't go toe-to-toe in the trenches with anybody, because they cannot run the ball, and they're not really built to stop the run like that. They're built to defend the pass when they have the lead and the other team's trying to catch up. So we see the formula to beat the Bills. It's run the ball, control the clock, get the lead against them, and then then you can tee off on them, because they're not built at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, it gave up 185 yards to one guy, 4 rushing touchdowns. That's crazy. I mean, the Bills are supposed to be one of the top teams in the NFL. They only sit at 6-4, still not bad, man. Colts is 6-5, so they're 1 game behind. But getting to the Buffalo-Chicago game, Pete, what did you see there?
Buffalo, Chicago?
Baltimore, Chicago.
Baltimore, Chicago.
Oh, Baltimore. Okay. Yeah. Last minute, we find out Lamar Jackson isn't playing. I thought the kid stepped in well for him. I mean, I want to say last minute notice to find out that you have to play. But still, with everybody else, I mean, they didn't have Marquise Brown. I think the Bears are really bad, and I just felt like they could have won by more points. Most importantly, they still got the win in a game that Lamar Jackson didn't play. But the Ravens, I felt like should have played a little bit better because I just think that Bears team is completely dysfunctional right now with Matt Nagy not being that great of a head coach. Just the Bears. Justin Fields goes down. Dalton comes in, and Dalton actually looks really, really good. I feel like if there was any quarterback that maybe should be holding the clipboard this season, not saying that Andy Dalton is the greatest teacher and mentor in the league, but I think Justin Fields has a lot of upside, but we're not able to see that with him actually playing. I feel like his upside is better if he just sits back and learns a little bit. And it doesn't have to necessarily be just learning from Andy Dalton. It could just be something as simple as just watching the game. When you're on the sideline, the game seems to move a lot slower for you, and you can see little things that happens, whether it's on offense or defense. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I mean, it sucks that the man got hurt and that's why he's not playing. But if Andy Dalton played good and then they want to turn around and start him Thursday night on Thanksgiving and say he plays well enough to keep that job for a little bit longer, I'm actually not that upset with Justin Fields not playing because I think he has a lot of upside. I think he's a really, really special talent. As far as all the rookie quarterbacks in the league before the draft, I had Justin Fields as like one of the top ones, probably even more than like Mac Jones, who's tearing it up over with the Patriots right now. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think the Ravens could have showed us a better effort, but most importantly, they still got the win with a couple of their best players not playing, and that's what's most important.
Uncle Frank.
Came down to the Matt Nagy effect, man. I told y'all last week, man, or the other day, man. Matt Nagy is no way down Lamar Jackson, down Marquise Brown. You still managed to get out coached at home. It should have happened, man. And this guy should have been fired. And I think once you get him out of that locker room, maybe guys start to build around that. Maybe that lights a fire under some guys, man, because you need something over there. There's no way they should have won that. They should have blew that game.
GK?
The better team won is just how I see it. The Bears are just their state of their coaching staff. Their offensive line's not good. They have a bunch of injuries. Their quarterback position's shaky. And I'm a big believer in, like, although quarterback is a very important position, it's not the end all be all. And ultimately, I think that's why the Ravens won. I mean, they got out coached. And then the supporting cast, like everybody outside the quarterback position, did their job and played well. So yeah, Huntley did what he needed to do, 26 for 36, only 219 and a pick, but that was enough to get the win. And I mean, the running game wasn't even that strong either. So it was just a matter for me of, game management, coaching, and the better team won.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw.
Go ahead, Pete.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, Troy.
No, go ahead, Pete.
No, I was just gonna say I want to throw one more point in too. We talked the last couple of weeks about, like, when is the Detroit Lions gonna get their first win? Where on the schedule could they get their first win? Well, maybe it could be this Thursday against those Bears. And I can say this right now. I don't even see how this is not possible. Lose to a team that really all they have is a tie under their belt this season, and Nagy's got to be out the door on Friday morning. You play on Thursday against the Detroit Lions and you lose to them. I don't care who's that quarterback, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, it don't make a difference. You lose to that team, you got to be fired on Friday morning. You just have to. You have a new young quarterback on the team who, I get it, it's his rookie year, but I just can't see you bringing Justin Fields, who's supposed to be your future now, into another season with Matt Nagy. Bring somebody fresh in that can now, new offense, and just show him different things. Don't bring back Nagy back for Justin Fields, okay? Maybe if you didn't have Justin Fields and you still had Andy Dalton or something like that or whatever, fine. But you can't start off a young guy's career like this, okay? GK, you can answer to that with how the Jets used to do Sam Darnold, you know what I mean? Almost kind of like the same thing. Bring in somebody that, like, knows what they're doing and is the right fit for a young guy, because all of a sudden, before you know it, that young rookie quarterback can be 2-3 years into their into that system, and nothing has fallen into place the way it's supposed to look. So I think Matt Nagy's out the door because, to be honest with you, I got Detroit this week on Thursday on Thanksgiving. Absolutely.
I don't think Detroit should be the cherry on the cake for getting Matt Nagy out the door. Why is this guy not going right now? They need to get rid of him now. Maybe you can get some fire under your team going into Thanksgiving, because they're not going to have it. Detroit loses with passion. They're a fiery team. I absolutely got them winning on Thanksgiving. Maybe if you can get rid of them, maybe if Justin Fields plays next week, maybe that team gets some fire up under them and they actually can come out with the W. But Matt Nagy has to go. Maybe he's a great coordinator, but I don't see it as a head coach. They don't follow him. They're not. That team is not following that man. And you saw it on Sunday. They were up. There's no reason why you have the lead at home and then you lose to a Lamar Jackson-less Ravens with their top receiver option out. I don't get it. It comes down to coaching.
Yeah, I agree. That could be a huge spark for them going into Thursday. Absolutely. If you got rid of Nagy, that could be the sooner the better.
The sooner he should have been gone.
GK?
No, I was gonna say, like, You think the Lions can win if they don't have Goff?
Yeah, that's the only thing. The guy Boyle did not look good at all. I think he passed for like 75 yards. It was his first career start. They said he only had 4 passes under his belt. I don't know a lot about him. They said he used to be a turnover machine in college. The fact that he even got a chance on the pro level. They got the other guy, David Blough or David Blough, Blough, something like that.
Yeah,
He's another backup on the team.
Dude, he was fun to watch last Thanksgiving.
He was
They got a
absolutely.
couple options.
Yeah, I mean, so even if it's not Goff, whatever, but I do agree, man. If this guy Boyle plays, maybe the Bears find a way to win and Nagy keeps his job for another week. I don't know, man. It's a tough call because both teams aren't good. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I had Baltimore in the Chicago game. I was right about that one. But yeah, getting on to another game that I did not do well in, Cleveland versus Detroit, the segment right into, the game that you think Detroit can win, Pete. But we're going to start this one off with GK. How did Cleveland pull out that win, GK?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think Cleveland was like a 10-point favorite. So I was a little surprised that it was actually as close as it was. But you could just clearly see that when they have Nick Chubb, they're a totally different team.
130 rushing yards.
Yeah, yeah. So
136.
they need him. I don't know what the weather was like, but Baker struggled. Only 176 yards, about 50% completion, 2 picks, a touchdown. Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if they were just looking past the Lions or whatever, but in my opinion, they should have slaughtered them. And I give credit for the Lions for fighting as hard as they did. 2 picks by that guy Boyle, who was like we said, he was not even good in college. Most of the time the third string guys are just like, oh well, they're not that physically talented or whatever, but they had a pretty good productive college career, and that's why they're like the third string quarter. Like, no, this guy Tim Boyle, I was looking like he was bad in college. He wasn't even good. So I don't know how or why he's there.
You laughing, so take it away.
I told you about those Detroit Lions, man. They play tough. They are a tough, scrappy team. They just like their coach. They're a fiery team. So I expected a close one. If I'm not mistaken, did I have the Lions winning, or did I have I think I might have went with the Lions with the upset. But either way, it was still a close game. Baker showed you that he's not that guy. Again, even with Nick Chubb, I mean, you can't. I don't know how long he can keep going with the. I'm not 100% healthy. I mean, it's the NFL. Nobody's 100% healthy at this point of the season, and to be the number 1 draft pick, you gotta be able to come in and be able to give your team some kind of life. And had it not been for Nick Chubb, they would have definitely lost that game. Had they put the ball in Baker's hands, and he had to be the ones to make the final decisions and get them out of those tough 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts. I think that's when Nick Chubb really showed his value and breaking some big tackles, breaking some big gains. But that Detroit line, man, throughout the season, man, I'm telling you, whoever lines up against the Detroit Lions, man, you're going to be in for a tough one. They played every single team tough, from the Ravens to everybody. Every week that you're going to get the best out of Detroit Lions, no matter who's at the quarterback, because they've been playing this way despite of Jared Goff. He's proven that he's not really a starting quarterback in the league anymore, and they've still managed to keep games close despite of that. And I don't think that's going to change, especially with the head coach that they got.
Before you go, Pete, Swift rushed for 136 yards, Chubb 130. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, man, 2 interceptions, 15 for 29 on 176. How different is that from the boy you do who went 15 from 23, 77 yards and 2 interceptions? I mean, I don't think Baker's a good quarterback. I never really thought Baker was a good quarterback. Nick Chubb is an excellent running back. I think any team that can get their hands on Nick Chubb should do it, because Cleveland isn't going to be a winning team for a long time. Sorry, Cleveland fans. I'm sorry, but you guys are not. But Pete, what are your thoughts on the Detroit game that I said Detroit was going to win? It was the upset game I picked. It didn't happen. That's on me. But what's your thoughts, Pete?
Yeah, I'm done with Baker. As far as I'm concerned, I get it. You're going to have him probably for a couple more years or whatever it may be. I think the move, to be honestly, as long as you don't have another area of necessity on the team, why not bring in somebody? It doesn't have to be a top draft pick or whatever, but even if it's in like the second, third round, bring in a college quarterback that can at least make Baker feel like he's got some pressure behind him, fighting him for that job. Maybe that would make him play better. I'm not sure, but I got a crazy side note about the game that I want to bring up, okay? Baker Mayfield, you got upset a few weeks ago because you got mad that Odell Beckham's father called you out and said you weren't passing him the ball. Everybody knows about that whole drama thing. Boom, Odell Beckham's off the team, right? But how can you get mad at that? But after yesterday's game, your wife goes out and says, oh, it'd be nice if the rest of your team played with the same toughness that Baker played with. Your wife is going on the internet talking and bashing the rest of your teammates, saying that she wishes they played with the toughness that you played in yesterday's game with. Why? Because you got a bummed up shoulder and you weren't sure if you were going to actually play, and then you actually did play and you played horrible at that. Tell your wife to, okay, especially when you were pouting and complaining because you didn't like the way Odell and his father called you out. Now you calling out your entire team and saying they didn't play with toughness. I'm not saying those were Baker's words. I'm not saying that Baker knew ahead of time that his wife was going to say that, but it just don't look good.
Hold on. So when and where did Baker say he didn't like what Odell's father put out? Can you show me that?
Yeah. Odell's
father. I never saw anything that said that Baker was upset with that.
So no, when Baker did the press conference, when they
press conference, right?
And he definitely said that he was upset about it. That's when he said that he had just spoken to it. Yeah, spoken with his father, had dinner with him, and it was strange that he was saying all of that. Yeah, I definitely recall that.
Yeah, he said that. Okay, go ahead, GK.
Yeah, no, I just think you guys are wrong about him. I think he's going to be a Super Bowl MVP. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, if you look at him during the whole course of his career. Didn't get any scholarship offers, walked on. Didn't get, like, he was just slept on. He ended up winning the national championship and winning the Heisman. Like, so this is same old for him. This is how he's been dealing with everything his whole life. Like, nobody thinks he's any good. And then what happens? He ends up on top. So.
But GK, what about the fact that when he does not play good? But what happens when he does not play good? Like, Baker has had games like this his whole career. So when you say look at his career,
he's also had games where he's gone like 29 for 30 with like 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. So like, what about that?
That's great, but right now
he's so rare, far and wide.
So let's just talk about Baker right now, right? Let's just take in the contents. Baker right now, he's tied for 23rd in touchdowns at 10 and tied for 13 at 6 interceptions.
He's playing with one arm.
That's no excuse. I
feel like that's a pretty good excuse.
That's no excuse, bro.
If you're out there, I think that's a pretty good excuse.
Hold on. There have been NFL players that played on bum arms, bum legs, bum knees, bum foots, all that, all of it. So if you got to count that for him, you got to count that for everybody. And It's not fair to say that he's out there. He has to produce. That falls on Baker, not because Baker's hurt. Everybody's hurt. JPP is out there playing with no fingers. No fingers. Like, he has to.
He doesn't have to touch the football.
When he does. He can. There's opportunity for him to touch the football on fumbles. And he could go up for interceptions. JPP is that guy. He played for the Giants, bro. Man, he's not there still because he ain't got no fingers. But I'm just saying, like, Baker has been doing this over his NFL career consistently, GK. That's why I'm saying Baker isn't a good quarterback. I don't think Baker. I think if Johnny Manziel was still in the league, if you take all the flashiness away from Johnny Manziel, he's a fucking Baker Mayfield. And they're the same people to me. It's just Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you take away Johnny Manziel's antics, if he just had a straight mind focused on football, he would be a Johnny Manziel. They picked 2 guys back to back that was the same. Only reason why Johnny Manziel isn't in the league is because he was too flashy. That's why
his mouth got him in trouble.
He's also soft.
Got him in trouble.
He's also what, GK?
Soft.
I mean, you can say that, but a lot of guys in
He's got no testicular fortitude. Zero.
I like
to
that
Baker
word. I
Mayfield.
like when you use that word. I'm not gonna lie. I like when you use it. GK.
That's GK's line, man.
I like when he uses it, man.
Classic
Like there's a
WWF
difference,
line.
bro. You take someone with all the talent in the world. Like this happens all the time in pickup basketball when I go play with, and because there's some high school kids out there that are nice, right? Super fucking talented. But guess what? They come down, they throw up a brick, and then go down the other way and then get scored on. They're done for the whole rest of the fucking game. Get that kid off my team. I'll take the way less talented, 47-year-old who's trying 100% on every single play and knows what to do. Like every single time, 10 out of 10. Like that's the difference between Johnny Manziel and Baker Mayfield. Like,
but Baker doesn't know what to do either.
What do you mean, bro? He's playing with one arm and broken ribs. Like,
so would you say
Johnny
Baker,
Manziel would never.
Has Baker Manziel had a top 10 team in any of his NFL?
Has who?
Has Baker Mayfield had a top 10 NFL team anywhere in his NFL career?
No.
Yes, he has.
When?
Ooh.
Yes, he has.
When? Well, last year they beat the Steelers in the playoffs. That was his best
How
win.
many times did Baker make it?
How do you define as what? A record? Like, what do you mean by that?
The best team. I heard analysts say they had one of the greatest defense. They got one of the greatest running backs. They have a great offense.
But based on what? Based on what?
Let me say something real quick.
Go ahead.
Let me say something real quick, right? Yes, last season and this season, everybody said the Browns are turning around. No more of them bum Browns that never make the playoffs in the season with 1 and 2 wins. This is supposed to be their year. And another point too is, right? Yes, absolutely. Odell Beckham's dad should have kept his mouth shut, just like LeVar Ball should be keeping his mouth shut, which he's actually been doing a good job with for recently, okay? But he kind of had a point. I mean, you got OBJ on your team. Just put the ball in his area. He's going to make a play.
You got Jarvis Landry, too.
You got Jarvis Landry, you got Nick Chubb, you got all these different things on the team. And I just feel like, and even if you want to say, GK, that like, listen, I'll be the first to admit, right? Yes, he complained about it in the press conference, but I give Baker Mayfield plenty of credit, right? He handled it the right way. He didn't start screaming and yelling and getting all crazy and stuff like that. He just pretty much said, listen, I don't really understand where it's coming from. I thought I had a good relationship with Odell Beckham and his father. We've been out to dinner and different things like that. I guess me and Odell Beckham are going to have to sit down and talk about it. He's still a really good friend of mine, and I wish him success. Yeah, he took the high road on it, but I think Odell Beckham's dad had a very good point. Odell Beckham had a very good point, and it's probably better for Odell Beckham that he's not on the team anymore. And then one other quick thing, right? Even if Baker Mayfield didn't complain that much about what Odell Beckham and his dad did or whatever, it still gives his wife no right to shoot down the rest of the team. I would like to really know right now. I guess a lot of teams on Mondays, what do? They don't practice in pads. They watch video of the last game and stuff, right? What is that like right now today, walking inside that building and your team knows that it's all over the news that your wife pretty much just trashed them?
They don't watch the news, bro, because they know that it's all shit that's made up.
No, they stay up.
All shit that's made up by the media.
So you're saying that didn't get back to no player on the team?
They probably know the difference,
Can I just say
the difference with what? The difference with what?
Of what everyone else is saying versus like how stuff really is. Like Baker and Odell, like apparently Odell didn't even want to leave, but he had to once his dad did that shit. Like Odell didn't even want to leave the Browns. Like Odell had the most amount of targets with the most amount of drops, and he's the one who spent the most amount of time with Baker in the offseason over everybody else on the team. So all this other stuff is just all perception and narrative that the media makes up. Like they just make up all this stuff.
I'm not making up anything.
Listen,
Baker had a top one. Hold on, Frank. I'm gonna let you respond next.
Yeah,
Baker had a top one, number one, legit number one wide receiver. And granted, injuries and his drop balls, but there's tape on Baker having Odell Beckham wide open in positions for touchdowns that can win games, that could actually win games, and not taking that pass and throwing dumb passes. That's Baker Mayfield. That's nobody else. I can understand if they're saying Baker shouldn't have left or Odell didn't want to leave, but the situation wasn't going to change. Either Odell had to get out there or they needed a new quarterback. Where do you before you respond, and GK, just give me where you rank him. Where do you rank Baker Mayfield and quarterbacks right now? Is he top 5, top 10, top 15? Where's Baker in quarterbacks right now? All active quarterbacks, where is he? In your opinion,
In terms of performance throughout the season so far,
whatever you want to judge him on, where is he in the league at quarterback? The best quarterbacks in the league. Where does he fit in?
I mean, that's so. In terms of performance throughout the season so far, I guess I don't know. Hold on, give me 1 second.
I mean, can you name like 5 to 10 guys?
I'll come back to him. No, I'll come
over?
back to him. I'll come back to the question. Go ahead, Frank. What did you want to say, Uncle Frank?
I just real quick. I just want to say the good brother GK is giving Baker a pass when he really shouldn't. And real quick before I get to Baker, let me just say that I think where I will agree with GK is I agree on the Odell thing. Odell has a lot of drop passes this year.
I agree there too.
And as a quarterback, it's hard to build a relationship with a wide receiver, especially when a wide receiver goes out there and he changes the routes mid-route. That's hard for a quarterback, because if a quarterback is planning for you to run across on a dig and you decide to slant up and take it up into a corner post, that throws off the chemistry with you and the quarterback. No matter how much you work throughout the offseason, it's hard to plan for that, for a wide receiver changing his route mid-route.
I got one question for you. What happens during a broken play? Does a wide receiver
you have no choice?
It's a different now. It's a difference between
but
it being
in Odell's mind, it's a broken play.
You can see in the videos that Odell Dad showed. He was changing the routes early.
It was a broken play.
Odell was open a lot of times early, but a lot of times he changed the route early, and that throws off the quarterback's time, and that throws off the quarterback's chemistry.
No, I agree with you.
That does a lot for Baker. So that's where I'll give Baker a pass in that sense. I think Odell leaving is good for both of them. Baker's stats was obviously better when Odell wasn't there, so I'll give him that. But where GK is giving him a pass is Baker has the best offensive line in the NFL. Top 5, top 3, top 2 defensive line in the NFL. Hands down the best rushing attack in the NFL. Granted, Jarvis Landry might not be the old Jarvis Landry. He's still a top wide receiver. They have a legit wide receiving core. They have a legit running back. I mean, they have a legit linebacking core. Their secondary could be better, but it's getting there. There's no excuse. There's no reason why this team should be 5-4 at this point in the season. At the end of the day, you got to place some of that blame at the feet of Baker Mayfield. He's not playing like a number 1 draft pick. He's not the best quarterback in that draft. If they redid that draft over, he definitely would not be the number 1 draft pick. You can give that to Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. I think you can bet that one. And his play is not getting better. When he plays good, you don't hear a thing about the arm. When he plays terrible, now he's beat up. He got to stop using that excuse. It's dead already.
I'm hurt. But go ahead, GK. Last response, and then we're gonna move on. Where do you rank him?
But out of his incompletions, like how many were all right? Primary read was wide open, and he just threw the ball too far away from him to catch. Like I don't ever hear or see that.
Or
overthrows, underthrows. Like that's never the case, right? So if that's never the case, then I don't think you shoulder the blame for that. Like that's more of a for me, the X's and O's.
He has a lot of underthrows, though. Not to cut you off, he has a lot of underthrows where Odell clearly has got beat on the streak, and then he'll underthrow him. That's hard for Odell with his speed and athleticism to come back and catch passes like those as well.
Can I throw one? Go ahead, GK. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, everything that I said, right? I was about to say it's not a knock on Baker. No, it is a knock on Baker. But at the same time, I'm not saying that he's not a starting quarterback in this league, okay? I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I just don't think he's a very good starting quarterback in this league. And when you're not a very good starting quarterback in this league, and you have everything around you that you have with the offensive line, the great running game, the defensive players, solid wide receivers, and what no one's mentioning is someone that's been known as a great offensive guy and Kevin Stefanski, even at not being a great quarterback, That's enough around you to get the job done. So when all those other pieces are doing their part, it's time for you to do your part. Even if it's a small part that we're asking from you, you got all that extra help because let's be real, they beat the Steelers in a playoff game last season. And I'm not giving all that credit to Baker. It was everybody, including Baker. Now everybody's doing their part except for Baker. When your running game is that freaking special, what does that do? That opens up the passing game. Everybody's now in the box because they want to stop that running attack, which now you got the whole field to yourself. He's not delivering.
I would say look at the Patriots and how much less talented they are and how easy Mac Jones' job is. And then look at the Browns, how much more talented they are and how hard Baker's job is. So what's the common denominator here? Like the coaching is not good. And Baker's shouldering the blame for that. Look at how talented the Browns defense is. It's way more talented than the Patriots defense. But look at how many points the Browns give up. What does that come down to? That's like scheme, coaching, mindset. It's, so I'm highly disappointed in the Browns. And I don't think that's because they're physically incapable. I just think that, the team's not being ran well, to be honest. But I mean, we can move on.
Listen, that was great dialogue from everybody on that.
Yeah,
topic.
I like that. That was
good,
fun.
man.
That was
good,
fun.
Man.
But moving on to somehow Houston beats Tennessee. Tighten up. We
can skip this one if y'all really want to.
The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
We are starting with you. GK, if you missed it on the last episode, he was like, tighten up. The Titans going to beat Houston. I have Titans beating Houston, but somehow Houston beats the Titans. Explain it to us, Uncle Frank.
Best way I can explain it is just one of those division games, man. You take it where you got a division rival who knows you, who sees you all the time. They know your play. We lost AJ Brown in the first quarter, and he didn't play the whole game. That really took a toll on us because he's our only playmaker that we have on offense right now. So that really did a number on us. Our offensive line, man, I mean, at the end of the day, we had a chance, and Ryan Tannehill, he threw two bad picks, and one of them cost us the game.
You called him Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, he's Tannehill.
It wasn't two bad picks; it was 4 picks. Ryan Tannehill threw 4 interceptions.
I'm saying he threw 2 bad picks that really cost us the game in the end. His last 2 was the ones that killed us. His last 2 was the one that really killed, especially the last one where we actually had a chance.
Well, that's not
division
too bad.
Game, man.
That's not too bad when you have 2 bad picks and 2 good picks. So okay.
I mean, I don't know what a good pick is, but GK,
no, I'm just saying the 2 late picks. Those ones.
No, I get you.
I get what you mean, but I'm not gonna say it's no good picks though. But GK, what are your thoughts on the Houston Tennessee game?
Combination of Titans having a bad game, being unlucky, Texans having a good game, but more so, I want to focus on Tyrod Taylor. How about the fact that Tyrod Taylor has never really done anything wrong, and he's probably a lot better than people think. And the Texans in general are pretty bad, but you can see the difference when they have Tyrod and when they don't. So,
what team did Tyrod start on? The Bills, right?
The Buffalo.
Yeah.
And look, wasn't he like doing his thing over there?
He got injured, and Josh Allen came in for him. And then last year with the Chargers, they screwed him up in some type of surgery. They punctured his lung or something.
Don't forget, he was 2-1 with the Browns, and then before he got benched.
Listen, so he was with the Bills, went to the playoffs with the Bills.
That's what I was saying. I swore he went
went to the playoffs with the Bills. He was good. He was good. And then got unlucky. Then moved to the Browns, was a starter for the Browns, got unlucky, got injured, put in Baker. They never put him back in. Moves over to the Chargers. Chargers draft Herbert. This injury wasn't even Tyrod's fault. He was getting acupuncture or something, and the fucking stupid ass person like punctured the needle into his lungs. So he had like a punctured lung. So so he got stabbed in the lung by the doctor. So by the Chargers doctor. So he wasn't able to play. So they put Herbert in, and Herbert played so good that they didn't put Tyrod back in. So Tyrod's just been getting like super unlucky his whole career. He's just been getting.
In other words, the shit end of the stick every time.
Every time, bro. And then he's like, "What? You're sending me to the Texans?"
I'm trying to tell you, like,
listen, I would have took a lawsuit out so quick on the Chargers for doing that to me. Oh
bro,
my god!
Like y'all stabbed me in the lung, and now you're sending me to the Texans? What?
They
with
sabotage
no DeAndre Hopkins and no JJ Watt.
What did I do to y'all to deserve this?
It's like, you're not taking it on the chin. You're complaining. You're not taking it on the chin. So what? We stabbed you in your lung. Take it on the chin. But Pete, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything GK said, man. Tyrod Taylor just catches bad break after bad break, man.
That's a good take, GK.
With the Titans, though, I'm gonna say this, right? Uncle Frank, man. The Titans, man, I give them a lot of credit, man. I think they got a decent defense over there. I like the fact that they were still winning games even without Derrick Henry. I still think they're a playoff team, and I still think they're going to win games the rest of this season. But unfortunately, their ceiling is only to a certain point by them not having Derrick Henry. That is just too big of a loss that they're not going to be able to overcome. I see them losing somewhere probably in the first round, a wild card game, whatever it may be. And it's nothing to hold their heads down about. I know you're not going to hold your head down as a fan or whatever. You lost the most possibly important piece that anybody needs to their team. Derrick Henry makes that team go. So when you take away like 85% of their offense in one player by him getting hurt, that's just a lot to overcome, man. Derrick Henry is like the best, okay? So it's no knock. It's just unfortunate. I heard there's like a long shot, depending on how far they can make it in the playoffs, that Derrick Henry could come back. But I mean, there could be some rust there or whatever. All I can say is Titans, maybe you'll improve next season, and maybe that could be your year.
Yeah, real quick. So just like how I was mentioning before about how the Bills are built to play one way, I feel like the Titans are kind of built to play one way too. Like they need to be able to establish the run, and that they can get positive yardage on the run, and then have the game within one possession or be playing with a lead. I feel like if they're down 2 scores, it's really hard for them to get a win that way. And I just don't really think, I think if that happens in the playoffs, then they won't be able to, come back from 14 points or 17 points. So them being able to run the ball and stay within one possession or have the lead, I think is their key to success. And I think if you, look at when they won and when they lost, you can see that come through.
Only certain quarterbacks can like take the whole weight on their shoulders without having a running back. Baker Mayfield can't do that if he lost Nick Chubb. Ryan Tannehill can't do that if he loses Derrick Henry. There's only a few quarterbacks out there that can do that. So Tannehill he needs a little more help. That's all, man. And it's not Adrian Peterson. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just about to say that AP 9 for 40, man. I didn't even know he was still in the league. I thought AP was tired. That's my fault for not keeping up.
Don't do that to AP, man.
That's my fault for not keeping up with the black brother. That's on me. I've been so stuck in the AD going off and winning the title and Tampa Bay.
That's over 4 yards a carry is pretty good.
Yeah, he's not the AP.
All right,
is that what he's averaging really right now?
Just hear me out. Just hear me out on my Titans, man. Our worst. Just think about it. Our worst losses to the Jets and now to the Houston Texans are when we were our most depleted. We didn't have any playmakers in neither one of those games. There was no Julio Jones. There was no AJ Brown. We were completely depleted against the Jets. Against the Houston Texans, we were offensively depleted. We didn't have any of our playmakers. If we have one of our playmakers, if we have both of our playmakers in that game, I think that's a totally different game. That's where we don't have the depth at wide receiver to compete with the elite going forward. If our playmakers are going to be out. But I believe if we have a healthy Julio Jones going into the playoffs, a healthy AJ Brown going into the playoffs, that's still going to be a lot to hit. That's still going to be a lot to deal with because you can't double neither one of those guys. And our tight ends, our tight ends are super consistent. They don't have a lot of yards, but they have a lot of touchdowns in the red zone where that's most important. And our defense, we have a bend but don't break defense. We've always had it like that. I still think we got the coach of the year and Mike Vrabel. I think he should have been coach of the year last year. Maybe he should have been coach of the year last year. Who knows? I absolutely think that he deserves it this year. But going forward, I just think if we can get one or two of our playmakers back on the field, I think that'd be a big help for us, and that'd be a big help for Tannehill. That'll release a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean they're supposed to be a top team, man. They're 8-3. Can't, in my opinion,
still number one in the league, still number one in AFC.
Look, when you're a top team, you can't lose to a 1-7. I mean, 2-17, or I mean 1-18.
Division game, man. It's division team.
I don't care.
Division games are tricky.
I don't care if they played in the same stadium. Don't lose to a damn 1-18. But moving on to the game that I did say last week that Minnesota could beat. I did say it, that they could beat Green Bay. I did pick Green Bay, but Minnesota wound up coming out with the win because Minnesota and Green Bay games are always tough games. So starting with, let's go with Pete. What was your takeaways from the Green Bay Minnesota game?
That was definitely the game of this week. Unbelievable. I felt like that game pretty much came down to whoever had the ball last. Unfortunately for Green Bay, they scored a touchdown a little too quick when they got the ball, which then left the ball in Minnesota's hands. I mean, listen, I was the one on the Kirk Cousins bandwagon. I said Kirk ain't as bad as y'all think, man. 341 passing yards, 3 touchdown passes, no turnovers, and a win against a division rival in Green Bay. Kirk Cousins showed his butt off, but he's got 2 special wide receivers over there, man. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and then you got the running game with Dalvin Cook. That sounds scary. You don't even got to say Kirk Cousins' name. You name those 3 guys to me. What quarterback wouldn't want that to be part of his offense? The dude Jefferson is just like, I wasn't like big on him and didn't know a whole lot about him. And then I seen how good of a season he had last year as a rookie. And now watching him this year, shoot, once Diggs left, I assumed Adam Thielen was the number 1. No, Jefferson is the number 1 on that team right now. He's balling, man. He's balling.
GK?
Yeah, for me, this is about Kirk Cousins getting his flowers because my thing is I think so many people hate on him and they don't think he's good and this and that and the other. And he's been carrying the Vikings team all season because their defense hasn't been playing that. They've shown, flashes of goodness and, the run game is there when it's there, when Cook is healthy. But throughout the whole season, Kirk's been carrying the team, in my opinion. And even like three touchdowns, 341 yards, like 69% completion, 9 for 13 on third down against the Packers, against fucking Aaron Rodgers, 385 full touchdowns. Like, come on, give Kirk Cousins some credit that's due.
Absolutely.
I mentioned this earlier. Like, the Vikings are show me one bad loss. Like, they could be undefeated. They literally have lost all of their losses by like a touchdown or less. So, yeah. So I don't know. So look out for the Vikings in the playoffs because
absolutely
Zimmer being a defensive guy, they're healthy and Kirk's been playing good, and I think he's hungry, and I think he's ready to get some more primetime games and show the world that they have the wrong idea about him.
I'm taking Kirk Cousins over Baker Mayfield, but Uncle Frank.
And yesterday's game was a classic Kirk game. Right when you're ready to give up on him, he pulls one of these games out his hat. But I also think that game was mixed in with a little bit of luck. They had 2 costly interceptions get taken back because of dumb penalties. I think that's what really cost Green Bay coming down when it comes down to it. But yeah, give Cousins his credit because I was definitely done with him last week, and I thought he failed that team. I still think that team should be better than 5-5. Just all of the weapons that you just named, GK, they clearly are better than their record is, or they should be better than what their record is. And going forward, I'm interested in seeing if he can keep this momentum going. Maybe if he could cut back on some of those turnovers, that'll give their team a better chance. Give that boy Justin Jefferson the ball a whole lot more. He showed that he was special. He should be mentioned right up there with the CD Lambs and the AJ Browns and the DK Metcalfs, and he's going to be elite for a lot of years to come.
I mean, the man did have 8 receptions for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, But moving
One-
on to the Jets game, we got to get GK on it. GK, what happened at that Jets game? Because you was there again. You was there at the Jets game. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, we just couldn't stop him. Like, Tua's getting better every week, and honestly, I was actually kind of pleased with how the offense played. Joe was able to move the ball. He got the ball to Elijah Moore. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's just the defense and being able to stop him. Like we gave up too many completions. Like I think there was several like 20 to 30-yard passes. And then we were within a touchdown in the fourth, and then they kicked the field goal to go up 10, and then that's when I left. I knew it was done at that point.
Pete?
By the way,
hold on, Pete. Before you start, I had Miami winning that game. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, same here. Like I said, if the Jets had a chance, I thought the game needed to be super low scoring. The Dolphins are just a better team. Most of the NFL are better than the Jets. Doesn't mean they won't get better. Doesn't mean there weren't a lot of positives to take from that game. Elijah played great. Carter, the running back, had been playing good. He got hurt in the game yesterday. Once they can just figure out the quarterback situation and get Zach Wilson on the field each and every week so he can develop his game and he's 100% healthy to be out there in the first place, maybe the Jets are going places as far as maybe next season's concerned. Obviously, they still need a few more pieces here and there to make the offense and defense become a whole where you're really racking up win after win after win. But for what they did yesterday and who they had out there and who they played against, it wasn't that bad for the Jets. There's better days to come for the Jets. Let's put it that way.
You two missed field goals too.
Mm-hmm.
Tua, he's gaining confidence every week, like GK said. I didn't think that he can actually be an NFL quarterback. I didn't think that he had the arm, he had the velocity on his throws to be a complete, legit NFL quarterback. But he's proving me wrong, man. He's gaining the confidence and getting the ball where it needs to be. His placement is all right. So the Jets were the Jets. They are who they are who we thought they were. I don't really trust that coaching staff. I don't know what it is. I'm just not sold on them. Maybe upper management got to do better, bringing some pieces around them, building around Zach Wilson in the future. But yeah, Jets are the Jets.
All right, moving on to this Eagles Saints game. I told you the birds would fly. You guys wanted to question me on it, Uncle Frank. You picking a lot of it.
They're saying you was going with the division a lot. Right? Showing a lot of division love.
Because I knew Washington would lose. Washington won. I should have picked Dan Washington too. See, you swayed me from my Washington pick. I should have picked Dan Washington too. But yeah, Philly beat New Orleans. We're gonna start with Pete. Pete, what happened in this game? 40-29.
Yeah, I mean, I said last week, it's something about the Eagles. I'm like, their offense is something that I don't find all that impressive. I'm not really that fond of their running backs and things like that. I said I knew they had Devonta Smith and things like that. But I said, for whatever reason, when the game is over and you look at the score, the Eagles always put up points. And it's almost at the point now where it's like, if the Eagles just had a better defense, they'd probably have a better record. I mean, in all the Eagles wins, their lowest scoring total in their wins was 21. They beat the Falcons, they scored 32 points. They beat the Lions, they scored 44 points. They beat the Broncos, they scored 30, and they beat the Saints, they scored 40. And even in their losses, their lowest score I got here was 11 points to the 49ers. After that, even in their losses, they scored 21, they scored 30, they scored 22 twice, and they scored 24. So the Eagles find a way to put up points on the offensive side of the ball. If their defense was just a little bit better, maybe we'd be talking about the Eagles chasing down the Cowboys maybe as far as a division winner. Because I'll be honest, I do think the Dallas and the Eagles are your two best teams in that division. I think the Giants still have a long ways to go, unfortunately, being a Giants fan. And I just don't think Washington is somebody that we can put there just yet. So The Eagles put up points, man. If they can get it settled on the defensive side of the ball, I really like Jalen Hurts, man. I really, really do. I actually like Jalen Hurts more than I like Tua. And I'm bringing up Tua's name because the two of them both played together over in Alabama. And there was always controversy about who should be the starter. And then they decided to keep Tua. And then Jalen Hurts moved on and still played well when he did move on. And I just felt like with Tua going in that first round and everybody else that went in that first round that year, I just felt like the one to sleep on was whoever ended up getting Jalen Hurts. The Eagles ended up getting him. I didn't think he was going to take Carson Wentz's job the way he did, but he did. And guess what? He's wearing that C on his chest as a captain for a reason. I think the Eagles really do like Jalen Hurts a lot, and I do too.
Frank.
Jalen Hurts, just like I said about Tua, they starting to gain confidence every week. Jalen Hurts is he's finding ways not to be the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles lose games. And their defenses are holding on. They keep on scoring points. He's staying consistent on the offensive end. The coaching is legit. They can definitely be a team to reckon with in the NFC East.
GK.
The Eagles are good at running the ball. Their offensive line's really good. Their defensive line's really good. On defense, they only play zone only. And we can tell like this type of football is their formula for success, right? They establish the ball, they run the ball well, they get the lead, and then their zone can come through because then their front four can get after the passer, and then the other quarterback's got to throw into their zone, and then you get interceptions like Slay. Slay's picking the ball. It's like that's the type of perfect storm that the Eagles need to win. When if they gotta throw, same thing like the Titans. If they gotta throw to come back, they gotta play zone D to come back. Like you can't do it at all. Like when you're losing, zone D is trash. When you're losing, the run game is worthless. So we see here like this is another perfect example. Run the ball, establish the run, get the lead. The zone D comes through, and that's how the Eagles are gonna win.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I knew they would win the game. You got Trevor Siemian at quarterback. But on to the
One other
Washington.
thing real quick.
Go ahead, Pete.
One more quick thing, right? One thing we can't sleep on is, and we don't talk about it, all we talk about when we talk about running quarterbacks is Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. Jalen Hurts might be number 3 on that list. Jalen Hurts is running his butt off out there, looking good, doing it, sliding at the right time and not taking hits. And when he sees that opening, he's taking it right into the end zone, man. Watch out for Jalen Hurts' feet, man. He looks real good rushing the ball.
I love everything about his mentality too.
Yeah.
He's the right guy.
Yeah, he could be. We gotta wait and see. Gotta give him a little bit more time. You know, he might be in the upper echelon of guys after Tom Brady and stuff like that. Well, we're going to Washington, Carolina. Cam Newton's return. Yeah, I think he got another rushing touchdown in this game or something like that. But Washington comes out with the win. We're gonna start with you, GK. What happened in the Washington game?
Honestly, it surprised me. I feel like they maybe shouldn't have played Cam yet, or like gave him the full starting role yet. I mean, he had a pretty good game and everything, but being that it was such a quick turnaround, I just think it was a little too soon. I mean, offensively, they didn't do bad, right? And then, but honestly, give credit to Heineke. He had a good game again, 16 for 22, 3 touchdowns, right? Gibson had a good game, 95 yards on the ground, and then McLaurin's a beast. So, it was like when did Washington take the lead? The third quarter, right? I believe it was tied going into halftime.
Yeah,
Washington came out, scored, then it was tied. And so it was a close game. I mean, honestly, going into the season, I would have probably said Washington should have ran them over in this game. But yeah, I mean, hopefully Washington, for their sake, is starting to turn the corner. But pretty much their whole season's just been a disappointment. And if I'm a Panthers fan, I'm not really too worried, to be honest, because I feel like Cam did look good enough to where you could be hopeful. And then having the healthy Christian McCaffrey back, over 100 yards from line of scrimmage, that's going to be your key to success. So I don't really think that this game really changed the perception of very many things one way or the other. If anything, maybe it helps out Washington and how they feel about themselves.
Uncle Frank?
Matt Nagy should be somewhere taking notes from Ron Rivera on how to come through and how to coach your team to good wins, despite not having maybe your best player on the offense or the defensive side of the ball. I definitely thought that Cam and the Panthers was going to take advantage of the Washington Redskins not having Chase Young there. But the Washington Redskins, they held on, man. Their defense, their coaching staff, Ron Rivera, a legend, NFL legend. He showed you, man, his toughness, and his team takes on the identity of their coach. You can tell. And they played tough throughout the whole game, man. Give him credit. Cam, you can tell Cam is still not completely comfortable with the offense or the play calling. Maybe he needs a couple more games under the belt. I honestly think it would have been best to throw Cam in the fire, just get him under there, especially if he's going to be the quarterback going forward. You don't want to have to keep slow playing him. You need to throw him in the fire while that team it has some type of momentum going, especially with their record, to try to make a push towards the playoffs. Credit to the Washington Redskins or to the Washington football team.
But that's not even the only thing. You want to throw Cam in the fire, so you see what he got. You want to throw him in the fire to see what he got left. Pete.
Yeah, I said it from the beginning. I think most of us even agreed. Like a couple of weeks ago, GK said it too. Like, we didn't understand the move. Like, I didn't understand why they brought Cam Newton in or whatever. But at the same time, you can't really argue with success. Cam looked good in his first game back. Get it? He didn't have a huge workload on his plate, but what he was asked of, he did very well. And then I thought yesterday, he played great. I can't let my love for PJ Walker confuse me. You know what I mean? I get it. I feel bad for the guy. I think he definitely deserves an opportunity, and a real opportunity, like a few games to prove himself, even if it doesn't come with this team. Maybe next season it's on a different team. But at the same time, you can't argue with success. And even though the Panthers didn't win the game, I thought Cam Newton, to only be back for 10 days, a game and a half, or whatever you want to call it, I thought Cam looked real good. The team looked refreshed. The fans were into it. They were happy to have Cam back. And he put him in a position to win the game. Just unfortunately, they came up short, and Taylor Heineke played his butt off and made the right plays at the right time. So, that's why Matt Rule is the head coach and I'm not, because he sees something in Cam Newton, and he knew Cam Newton could come in there and do what he's doing. There must be something with PJ Walker that they're not willing to throw him into the fire just yet. PJ Walker was supposed to be next in line to get that spot. And if they're going to jump over him and pay Cam Newton $10 million, something must be going on with PJ Walker where they just feel he's not ready yet. And like I said, if it's working, you can't argue with it. And I think Cam's playing very well, even in this small sample.
Word. I thought somebody was going to say something after, but yeah, let's get on to the
same. Yeah, I want to say real quick.
I knew somebody wanted to say something. That's why I was like, let me just give him this.
Hey, man, people need to start talking about this McLaurin guy, y'all. He is a great route runner.
Mm-hmm,
I don't know if you guys happen to see some of the game. McLaurin, he's a real good route runner.
Ohio State.
I mean, you could have left me being a Michigan guy. You could have left that out of there, but it's cool.
All right, Sam.
I've been following McLaurin for a while.
Yeah, he's good, man.
But nobody really talks about him. When nobody really gives him talks about him.
Of the team
credit.
Correct. You're in Washington. They're not that good.
Right. If he was a Dallas Cowboy, the whole world would know plenty about him.
Absolutely.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's because of the team that he was on. Even if he was on the Giants right now, the world would know about him because those are big markets.
Absolutely.
Texas and New York is a big market. Washington, it might be a big market to some, but it's not a market where if a player goes there, he gets noticed right away like other players, like CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb got noticed as fast as he did because of his play, but because he's in a market where there's a big fucking...
Right. If they were to flip-flop, it'd be the same thing.
Right.
Everybody would know McLaurin's name and nobody would know
CeeDee Lamb because he's over there. But moving on to the San Francisco and Jacksonville game, which I don't think we need to spend long on here. San Francisco is just a better team. I picked them to win. I'm going to start with you, Pete.
Yeah, San Francisco is just quietly getting win after win, and nobody's actually talking about them. Garoppolo does just enough to win the game. He doesn't do anything crazy where it's like, oh my gosh, he needs to be in a highlight reel and talk about all these, he rushed the ball and made this spectacular. He just wins the game. And it's not surprising that he's that type of player, considering the fact that he sat behind Tom Brady for so long. He's watched, he's seen. As a matter of fact, as I'm sure you guys know, Belichick didn't even want to get rid of Garoppolo, okay? He was hoping Garoppolo would be the next guy when Brady was done. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I feel like for Garoppolo, it was good he did move on because you didn't want to keep wasting the guy's years just sitting behind Tom Brady. So he goes to San Francisco. He gets his chance. He's already been to a Super Bowl with San Francisco. Not saying that I'm picking him to go to another Super Bowl with San Francisco anytime soon, but at the same time, he took him to a Super Bowl. He lost to a better team in the Chiefs, but at the same time, Garoppolo has just been well coached his entire career and learned so much with the Patriots that even with the team he has now, he's able to get these wins. He didn't have his best running back in Elijah Mitchell this week. Kittle just came back like last week. Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver, has been playing excellent. We already know Deebo Samuel has been playing out of his mind. I don't even know if Deebo Samuel is a wide receiver or running back. He's your hybrid Cordell Patterson that's really doing amazing things this year for the 49ers. So keep it up, Garoppolo. Y'all can slip under the radar and maybe do something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, 49ers are a better team. I don't know about Garoppolo though. I still think he's more of a game manager type.
Yeah.
So it's Tom
This
Brady,
team is, huh?
So it's Tom Brady, is he not?
Yeah, no, same thing, same style. Is basically just, hey, I need you to make the right read, don't turn over the ball, and that's it. Because this team's all about their offensive line, and they want to play that zone defense, right? So they want to run the ball, they want to march down the field, take the lead, then play zone, and then get turnovers that way. That's why they're 5-5, basically, in my opinion. But Jacksonville didn't do themselves any favors. 2 fumbles. Lawrence didn't turn over the ball. He didn't play terrible, but obviously he's still a rookie, not playing well enough on a really shitty team. So yeah, I don't really like the 49ers to make a playoff run. But I don't know. Jacksonville fans should still have hope, I think, not for this season, but just for the future moving forward. 49ers fans, I think you should start to worry because I don't know that Trey Lance is the answer either.
Excuse me. Uncle Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, Sunday, better team won. I think I picked the Jags, but I thought the Jags would come in and rough them up a little bit, throw him off, throw Jimmy G off his timing, rough up Deebo Samuels a little bit. I guess I was wrong. I'm still not putting no stock into neither one of these teams going forward, especially not the San Francisco 49ers.
I mean,
I don't think
San Francisco was there a couple of years ago, so.
But I still don't. I don't have any.
Remember what I said last week? The cookies can crumble and fall in their laps again. That cookie can crumble and fall in their lap again. So.
I mean, if Seattle keeps playing bad, then I'm pretty sure that they can ease in there as far as and compete for that top spot in NFC West. But I'm still going with the LA Rams. I still think their offense and their defense is still far more superior to everybody else in their division. The 49ers defense is not as good as it was a couple years ago during their Super Bowl run. They just falling to pieces. They haven't been healthy as well. That's why I'm not putting too much stock into Jimmy G or Trey Lance going forward. So I still don't think that they're a playoff team.
All right. I mean, San Fran can be good, but I don't know. I think they just struggle for some reason. I don't know if Jimmy G is the answer. Jimmy G's not the answer, but Uncle Frank, we're going to stay with you. We're going to move over to the Cincinnati-Vegas game. I had Vegas winning. I thought Vegas was going to win. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow goes in there, gets the win. What happened in that game?
I told everybody smoking Joe. He needed this game, playing the way he did the last 2 weeks. Them and that franchise, if they wanted to stay contenders for the playoffs, they needed that win. Well, both of those teams needed that win. I feel like the Bengals needed it more, and they showed you Sunday that they needed it more. Joe Burrow, I think him and Mac Jones are going to be competing to be the next Brady and Rodgers or Brady and Manning for the next couple of years. I'm excited to watch those 2 guys going forward. Jamar Chase, I'm still a fan of that guy. I'm still a fan of the Bengals going forward. I think they're going to be a team to reckon with in AFC North. I still got them as the favorite. I think that when they line up against the Baltimore Ravens, I think they'll find a way to come out against them when it really matters.
GK?
So the game was pretty close until the 4th quarter, and then both of the Raiders' turnovers, unfortunately for them, came. It was about 5 minutes to go in the fourth, and Carr threw a pick, I believe. And then Bengals scored a touchdown to go up 16. At that point, the game was pretty much done. But then once the Raiders got the ball back again, then Carr fumbled the ball. So, and I believe in the press conference, Carr said just put the whole loss on him. Well, yeah, you turned over the ball twice in the fourth quarter and got outscored 19-7 in the fourth. So, yeah, it's on you.
Thanks for the permission, Carr. Yeah. Listen, if Cincinnati didn't win another game for the rest of this season, as long as Joe Burrow keeps progressing and playing as well as he's played, it's a huge improvement from anything you guys have done the last few seasons. To me, this game was more about the Raiders and the fact that there's two teams that I feel like I don't even need to see you guys play no more. The Raiders and the Seahawks. I'm done with you guys for the season. You are what you are. You're not good. You're not getting any better. You're not making the playoffs. Your season is over. If the Raiders want to use it as an excuse with all the turmoil and things that have taken place with their team, as far as rugs and things with their head coach or whatever, that's fine. I don't got no problem with you using that as an excuse. That is a lot to overcome. But them and the Seahawks, man, listen, man, your season's over, okay? Anything that takes place from here on out with your two teams, as far as I'm concerned, if it's a matter of how bad the other team played, that caused you to win. I don't see the Seahawks or the Raiders doing anything in the near future for the rest of this season that's going to overly impress me for me to feel differently about the direction that their organization is heading into this season and maybe in the future if they don't make no changes.
They're very similar, those two teams.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much, both of their teams just rely on their quarterback to throw 5 touchdowns, and that's how they're going to win the game, because neither one of their defenses are good. Neither one of their offensive lines are good. They don't run the ball. They literally depend on their quarterbacks to like throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns, and that's how they're going to win games. And unfortunately for their quarterbacks, that's not really a good formula of success to be consistent and, you know, over the course of an entire season.
That's true. Anybody else got anything to say about it?
Can I get in here and just say, Joe Burrow, even I know he got hurt his rookie year, he's taken the leaps and bounds his second year that everyone would have expected Baker Mayfield to take. He's showing you how to lead his team. Joe Burrow.
Why you got to take my point? That's what I was going to finish with.
That's after an ACL injury. That's after an ACL injury.
And they're both number 1 picks, and Joe Burrow is showing you what a true number 1 pick is supposed to play like and how he's supposed to lead his team. Just wanted to throw that out.
I was going to say, and we're going to move on after this, but I was going to say that if you give Joe Burrow that Browns team, they're possibly in
Super Bowl
the Super
contender.
Bowl. Yes. But GK, we're going to start with you. Dallas versus Kansas City. I had Dallas winning this game, but somehow the Chiefs pulled it out 19-9. It wasn't a high scoring game. The Cowboys, goddamn, 3 field goals. Oh God. Dak Prescott, don't even know what to call him, 2 interceptions. Did Ezekiel play this game? Ezekiel out?
Yeah, he played.
Troy Pollard 50 yards. How many did Zeke have?
Well, I said last
32,
week.
32 yards. GK.
So I said last week.
Hold on, Pete. Let's
go ahead.
Let's start with GK. Go ahead, G.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here. Everybody probably thought that this game was going to have 1 million points, and the Cowboys didn't score a touchdown, and the Chiefs only scored 2. So I honestly, I don't even know what happened. And yeah, I don't know why the Cowboys weren't running the ball.
They wet the
Dak threw 2 picks. The Chiefs defense has been playing surprisingly well the past couple of weeks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really think either team played well, to be honest. I think the Cowboys just sucked more than the Chiefs, and that's what happened.
Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, this was a defensive game. Listen, there's just a lot of hype around the Cowboys. You know, America's team. Dak Prescott came back from the injury. CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, that's all there and everything like that. But that's still nothing for me to call them a top NFC team. Why are they a top NFC team? Because they're in a terrible division with a bunch of bad teams with young quarterbacks? Like seriously, that's what makes them a great team. Well, we saw it's nice to see them actually get to play against a top AFC team, because that top AFC team is the team that you have to play when you make it to the Super Bowl. You don't got to deal with that AFC team in the playoffs, but you got to deal with them when you get to the Super Bowl. And even if Kansas City isn't that team to make the Super Bowl, well, if they're not, then that means they're not as good as the team in the AFC that does make the Super Bowl, and you just got your butts kicked by Kansas City. Kansas City has not been the Kansas City that they've been over the last couple years, and you got beat. I don't think either offense or either quarterback played well at all. It was turnover after turnover after turnover, lots of sacks in that game. But yeah, Dallas, I hope this was a little bit of a reality check for you guys, that you're only as good as this division. Okay, I'm not calling you Green Bay Packer good. I'm not calling you Kansas City good. Okay, because as far as I'm concerned, I feel like a lot of us wrote Kansas City off, and now all of a sudden they're starting to play better. And on top of that, their defense, as horrible as it is, like GK said, I even said last week, I was like, if you're a better, you're going to take the over in this game because of the two high-powered offenses. But for whatever reason, when you get these two high-powered offenses together, the game, for whatever reason, turns out to be the complete opposite. And then it turns out to be this defensive game where no points are scored. And that was the case yesterday.
Real quick before you go, Frank, I just wanted to mention, too, in the Cowboys' defense, though, no Tyron Smith, no Cooper. Lamb went out in the beginning, and Zeke hurt his ankle. That's why he disappeared. So that probably has a big factor into why they only scored 9 points.
Go ahead, Uncle.
Go ahead, Franco.
Oh, I wouldn't say that's a big factor. That's the reason why they scored 9 points. They still had Gallup. They still had Amari Cooper. They still had
Cooper.
Pollard. But
it was no Cooper, I think.
Yeah, no Cooper was out.
All right, well, yeah, they still had Gallup. I mean, there's no real excuse for them to still have 9 points. I understand they're still a high power offense, even though a lot of their wide receiver weapons were out. But I called it. Yes, I called it last week. A 10-point win for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I knew it. I knew the Cowboys were gonna have to have a real big big game in the run game for them to have that win. Zeke, you guys said Zeke got hurt. I didn't see too much of the game. I caught the tail end of it. Neither quarterback threw a touchdown. So I thought that 5-touchdown game Patty Mahomes had last week, I thought that would carry over. It really didn't. And isn't it kind of weird that when you get these high-power offensive games, sometimes it comes down to a defensive game. Yeah. It's kind of weird when you get those games. I expected it to be a little bit more high-powered, a little bit more scoring. I did have Kansas City with a 10-point win, though. I don't put too much stock. Well, the Cowboys are now 1-2 in their big games now. If you guys noticed, the real big games, they're 1-2. They only beat the Chargers, and that was a close game. They had to come from behind.
They barely did that.
And that's what I said. They barely did that. They lost to the Bucs opening week, and they just lost now. They're starting to get that old whatchamacallit, that old mind state where they can't win the big games, or they can't win the games that they supposed to win, and they wind up beating all of the bad teams and getting a good rep from beating the bad teams. When it comes down to playing these good teams later in the season, they fall apart, they fall to pieces. This is gonna be one of those games to keep the Philadelphia Eagles in contention for the NFC East. If this keeps going forward, hopefully this is just a bad week for the Cowboys and they can right this ship next week.
Yeah, I mean, Cowboys do what the Cowboys do, man. Trust me, I'm in the division. I know. Okay. But moving on to Arizona versus Seattle, I had Seattle winning this. I thought Russell would have a bounce back game. He did not. He didn't even throw a damn touchdown. Colt McCoy goes off again. Oh, Colt. 35 for 44, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. Oh, man. So we're going to start with Pete. Pete, where's your thoughts on this Arizona-Seattle game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Kyler Murray's ankle is that bad. You and me were talking about that this weekend, man. I guess Kyler Murray is hurt. I didn't see him missing 3 games. I thought he could have came back the week before, but you know what? Now he's missed 3 games and the team is 2-1. So that's a reflection on how well they're coached and how good overall they are of a team. Because I don't mean to make it sound like it's a knock on Colt McCoy, but we understand Colt McCoy is a lot older now. He's always just been a career backup and things like that. He shouldn't be winning these games the way he's winning these games, man. And you know what? Shoot, it's about the playoffs, okay? It's about getting a number one seed. It's about having a bye. And if you can continue to win games without Kyler Murray out there, hey, listen, make sure the man is 100% before you bring him back out there, man. Because if you can still win these games without him, that'd be the right move. There's no reason to rush Kyler Murray back and you're still banging out wins the way you're banging out wins. Hopefully the man is ready to come back and he is 100%. But that team looks really good, man. When Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins seem to get all the attention, but they're winning games without those two players in the lineup, now it's start time to recognize the defense and recognize Christian Kirk and these other guys on the team that are playing well and showing you, you know what? It's a roster of 55 guys, not just Kyler and not just DeAndre Hopkins.
GK.
Yeah, I agree with Pete. Like, look at what everybody else on the team is doing, right? They held Russell Wilson to only 14 completions. They held there's Alex Collins to only 3.6 yards a carry. And then on their side, James Conner only averaged 3.3 yards a carry. He had 21 carries for 62 yards. He did score a touchdown, but hey, I would say, you know, give Colt McCoy his credit. Like, I feel like this is exactly what he's built for. Like, not to save a franchise or anything like that, but if you put him on a team that is already very good, like outside of the quarterback position, maybe coached well, you know, set up to win, and you need to throw him in there for, you know, 2 or 3 games, he's that guy. He's good enough to just fill in for that. So yeah, give credit to Colt McCoy, and I think this also just shows that the Cardinals are a really good contender because Kyler Murray is probably their best player, right? And so they don't have him at quarterback, and they're still winning games. So, you know, that means once he's back, everybody better watch out. But I will say this: I almost think it's a good thing that Kyler got to sit back and watch some football a little bit, because even in his last couple games where he was in there, they look kind of shaky. The Cardinals look kind of shaky. They look like a couple of their wins, they were barely winning, or like, you know, the games were a little bit too close against teams that they shouldn't have been close against. So I actually kind of think that this bodes well for them moving forward, as long as he is able to come back like full 100%.
Uncle Frank?
I like what Arizona's building over there. They're building a great culture over there on both sides of the ball, to be honest. I'm a real big fan of what's his name, Jonathan Simmons. He's a beast at the linebacker position. He can even drop back in the flash, play some safety position. He's legit. That offense, they're building a great culture over there. Cliff Kingsbury, he was just on the hot seat a couple of years ago. His job was up for talks just a couple of years ago, and now he's proven that he's a great coach. I really like what they're building over there in Arizona. They're going to be a force to reckon with come the playoff time, and their team that's built for a deep playoff run. I think they're what we expected the Buffalo Bills to be, maybe. I think that's what the Arizona Cardinals are turning out to be. Everything that we thought that the Bills would be. So I'm really impressed. I don't think that Russell Wilson is 100% healthy. I don't think that he'll be 100% healthy going forward for the rest of the year. If this continues for the Seattle Seahawks, I'm thinking about even maybe shutting them down. Maybe either getting them ready for next year, or maybe planning something to get a trade, get him up out of there if he wants.
It's funny you say that, Frank, about the Bills, because they're so similar too. But the only difference is that, you know, not yesterday, but in a few of the previous games, James Conner, he's been coming through. So the only thing that I did worry about moving forward into the cold weather, into the playoffs, is if they were one-dimensional, that's not going to bode well for them. But for the past couple games, watching James Conner, he's running angry, like with a chip on his shoulder. And so I actually think that they're not one-dimensional. I think that they do have a decent run game with James Conner toting the rock.
Actually bringing some of that aggression that he had over in Pittsburgh over to the Arizona Cardinals, and now so you're starting to see it late in the season. He's one of those late in the season, those bad weather type of running backs. He's tough. He's built for it. I think he's playoff built.
All right, staying with you, GK. Last game of the day, because we still got the Monday night game with Tampa Bay and the Giants, which we all know Tampa Bay gonna whoop the Giants. but they're gonna get their asses whipped. But we got Chargers versus Pittsburgh. I mean, it's an easy game. I had the Chargers winning. GK.
Yeah, I had the Chargers all the way too. It surprised me at the end that the Steelers actually made it a close game. But how about Eckler, right? Eckler balled out.
Oh yeah, he was on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
He actually won me. He actually won me the week. Like I'm not even going. Like I was projected to lose the week, and he actually won me the week. So thank you, Eckler. Go ahead, GK.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up the box score real quick.
Eckler.
Let me see.
Justin Herbert had 9 carries for 90 yards.
Killed it. I was gonna touch that point. Killed it.
Yeah. So whenever they went into man, Herbert was just like, all right, bet, and just took off. And and so he I'm sure he didn't mind doing that. That was probably fun for him. But even throwing the ball, 30 for 41, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. But yeah, look at Eckler, bro. 50 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns, and then 65 yards in the air with 2 touchdowns. So yeah, he was having a day. And then I was happy to see Mike Williams get back involved. He had that one really nice long touchdown catch because he had kind of disappeared for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then the Steelers, they couldn't run the ball. They averaged like 3 yards a carry, which I feel bad for Ben because like they're asking him to do so much. Like he's throwing the ball between 40 and 50 times every game. And like, they're asking him to like bear that load on his back, like that's not it. Like they got a good defense and they're just missing the running game because they can go to Ben when they need him to make a throw, he can make a throw. But when you want him to throw it 44 times and that be the whole offense, like they're not going to win like that. So I think the Steelers should be worried. Steelers fans should be worried. Chargers, on the other hand, I think you're feeling really good right now if you're a Chargers fan.
Uncle Frank?
I think that was a game that the Chargers needed. Like I said last week, if they wanted to stay in playoff contention, they needed to win that game. They needed to beat a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers with Ben coming back. It came down to Justin Herbert and the Ertler guy, man. He may not be Alvin Kamara explosive, but he's Alvin Kamara consistent as far as being able to run the ball and catch the ball out the backfield. He's probably outside of Alvin Kamara, I would say he's the number 2 combo back in the league as far as being able to run and catch out of the backfield. I'm excited to see this Charger team going forward. Hopefully that they can keep this going. I had them coming out of the AFC West as the top team. I had them upsetting the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes down to it. I think that they're a better team than the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that the Chargers are definitely a team to be reckoned with. Nobody's going to want to see this team, especially if they start to right the wrong that they had early in the season. Nobody's going to want to see this team come playoff time, especially with that passing attack. If Mike Williams starts to come along and Justin Herbert continues to gain more confidence as he goes along, they're a scary team on offense and the defensive side of the ball.
Pete?
Yeah, Chargers might be one of my favorite teams to watch, man. And I'll say it right now, Justin Herbert is definitely my favorite quarterback to watch right now. I love him, man. The guy is just, and he's big too. He's 6'6", runs, like you said, the 93 rushing yards yesterday. He can obviously see over the offensive line like it's no problem. He makes all the throws, super, super strong arm. They used to talk about his accuracy over in Oregon. I don't see no problem with it at all in the NFL right now. And the casual football fan probably don't even know who Keenan Allen is, who Mike Williams is, or who Eckler is. You're just normal, average, I watch football, I got my favorite team. Don't know who these guys are. Well, you better learn who they are because they are explosive on the offensive side of the ball. And even if they don't win a division and they make it into the playoffs, that is a scary team. You do not want to play them. Even if you got a home game against the Chargers, you do not want to play them. I'll say right now, I think they could easily knock the Chiefs off in a playoff game. Absolutely. They can knock any team off in a playoff game. They're still young. I can see Justin Herbert possibly making a big turnover, a big mistake, just based on him being young and things like that in the playoffs that may possibly cost them the game. But that's okay. Moving forward into next season and the season after that, That's the team you really got to watch out for. They are not, they're going up, 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 up. There is no backtracking right now with this team. They are going to be talked about for the next 3, 4, 5 years. This is Justin Herbert's world right now. It's nice to see that Mahomes is not the only quarterback that we discussed and talked about as far being the elite of the elite of the elite. We don't have to talk about Brady no more. We know what his resume is. We know how good he is. And Brady's about to ride off into the sunset pretty soon. After Brady's gone, after Ben Roethlisberger's gone, and Aaron Rodgers is going to start getting on the tail end of his stuff, Pat Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert. Those are the guys that are going to take over this league as far as quarterback play is concerned. And Herbert might be number 1 on that list.
Oof.
I don't know. I guess we just gotta wait and see. I mean, that's some great picks from you guys, man. I mean, I didn't do too well this week, but we always got next week. We got this Monday game, and we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about the Monday game on Friday's show. Friday's recording, Saturday's show. But getting along, moving on to basketball. Just I want to touch on it briefly. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I want to spend another little brief moment on something else that happened yesterday in the NBA. But Luke Walton got fired. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Starting with GK.
I just think it had a lot to do with the GM changing because Vladdy hired Luke Walton.
Yeah.
And then now they have a new GM, and so that there was going to be a very short leash. And the Kings haven't made the playoffs in over 15 years, I think, maybe 20
more.
20 years.
20 years.
Peja Stojakovic.
Yeah, so they were very bad defensively, right? I think they were like the bottom 5 on defense under Walton's tenure. So they had just lost, I believe, 3 in a row. So I feel like you can't say like you didn't see it coming, like. Yeah, unfortunately for Luke Walton, he was only in year 2 or 3, I believe, year 3. Like this would have been the 3rd year. So it kind of sucks for him that he didn't really get a longer chance. But like I said, I can't say that I'm not surprised, especially with Gentry as the assistant coach. Now he's the interim coach. So they knew they had like at least somebody to fall back on.
Yeah, it's real simple. I mean, I'm not surprised by any of it all. How long can you ride the coattails of what you did with Golden State? If I remember correctly, Steve Kerr was out for a long, long time based on, I think it was like chemo or cancer treatment or some type of surgery that Steve Kerr had to have. And Luke Walton, as the assistant, stepped right in. But it's easy to step right in and be a head coach and win a bunch of games when you have the team that Golden State had. That wasn't, to me, and it's no knock on Luke Walton, but Golden State playing that good wasn't because you jumped in as the head coach. That team was already made. That team was already successful. That team was already good with Steve Kerr, and just based on the fact of the players that they had. You just happened to be in the right place at the right time, sitting next to Kerr on the bench where you were able to slide in as the interim head coach while Steve Kerr was away. Then based on how good the team played, how good their record was while you were there coaching them, you were able to get yourself a starting job in LA. Then LeBron came over to LA and didn't want you there. So then you left and then you went to Sacramento. But I mean, come on, man, you got this head coaching job as fast as you got it. And you were given the opportunity you were given based off what you did with Golden State. And I'll be honest with you, what you did with Golden State was more indicative of what the team was, not based on what your coaching was.
Uncle Frank?
Yeah, I was never really a big fan of Luke Walton as a head coach in the NBA. I thought he really just got his, like he said, like to piggyback off my man. I think he got some of his cachet from what he did with the Golden State Warriors, and also his last name being the son of the great legendary Bill Walton. I think that has some a little bit of cachet. He's a great Laker from what I hear from the reports from other reporters, other players, coaches that interact with him that know him. He's a good guy. I think his style better fits a really good college team. I think that's where he probably should have started his journey at. He should have probably went back to Arizona. I know they looking for a great coach, and that would have been a great fit for him. I know I heard Richard Jefferson and Gilbert Arenas say in a couple of interviews that they would have loved to have him over there be the head coach at Arizona. I think that's where he should be looking next. That's where I think he will look next. Alvin Gentry, I think he's the right choice to take over that job. I'm not sure what they was doing with Marvin Bagley III. That whole situation with not playing him and he's the number 2 pick is weird. And then they don't want to trade him, but they don't want to play him. Is that whole situation it got out of hand. I think they made the right decision getting rid of Luke.
Can I throw one?
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say real quick. I'm gonna piggyback that what you just said. Yeah, that didn't look well, and that probably was Luke Walton's final demise when Bagley pretty much told him right to his face the other night, "I'm not coming back in the game."
Mm-hmm.
So to be honest with you, if Sacramento thought about possibly trading Bagley or moving away from Bagley because of how he's been acting lately or whatever, as far as I'm concerned, that's showing more loyalty to Bagley than it is to Walton, because Walton's the one out the door now.
And they stated that they didn't want to trade him, so it looks like they chose Bagley over him. But I'm not sure if Bagley still wants to stay there. I think he still needs to change the scenery. Got to be best for him.
Yeah.
Let's see what kind of playing time he gets with this new head coach, though, with Alvin Gentry. Maybe Alvin Gentry plays him the right way now.
Mm-hmm.
It could be. We got to see. But same thing. Want to touch on it briefly because we got 2 big topics to get to within like an hour and a half. So we got to make this fit. LeBron James last night gave a little nasty elbow to, what was his name, Stewart?
Isaiah Stewart.
Isaiah Stewart, and had him bleeding from his eye and his mouth. And I would be the first to say I wasn't that big of a LeBron. I'm a Boston fan. Like, you guys should know this. I wasn't big on LeBron, just like I wasn't big on Kobe. Kobe comes from the Lakers, but I learned to respect these guys because they're great historic talents in the NBA. But LeBron is not historically a dirty player, but that was a dirty move. He intentionally threw that elbow. I watched it over and over and over, and you can see him look at Stewart and rip it right across it. Just rip it right up. He wanted to throw the elbow. Now, you could say he didn't intend to do that damage that he did to him, but that all goes out the window when he intended to throw his elbow. And that's my problem with it. It's like, it doesn't matter if he's the king. He's not held to any other standard than Marcus Morris or Jokic. Jokic got suspended 1 game for his vicious attack to Morris's back, responding to Morris hard fouling him. Look, this wasn't even Stewart hard fouling him. This was Stewart getting boxed out by 2 Lakers. He was boxed out by 2 people, and he's trying to get in, and LeBron just moved it and threw the elbow. So since you smiled, I'm gonna start with you, Uncle Frank. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I would definitely agree that I don't think that historically LeBron is a dirty player. I don't think he has a history of dirty play. So I definitely didn't think that play was intentional. I think LeBron deserved a flagrant 2 or flagrant 1? He absolutely did, just because the velocity that he threw his elbow. I didn't think that he intentionally threw the elbow to hurt him or to hit the kid. But Isaiah Stewart
did he intentionally throw the elbow? That's the question. It's not intentionally throwing it to hit him. Did he intentionally throw his elbow?
Yeah, he intentionally flailed his elbow, but I would say
when Draymond flares his foot, it's the same thing.
He did engage the contact with the box. If you go back and look at the video,
no, I watched it.
Isaiah Stewart stepped in front of him to try to box him out.
But that's basketball.
The arms got tangled up a little bit. Bron flailed the elbow up and caught him in the eye. I think all the antics afterwards was a little bit unnecessary. I mean, they was both in his face.
He showed you
Maybe
about
talking to him. He waited till everybody grabbed him, and then he put the whole show on.
No, he didn't.
I think that was a bit extra, but
no, he didn't. Come on.
They was face to face.
Come on. Yeah, and when he was face to face, he was talking to him. He was talking to him, and then he put his hand. Yes, he did. He put his hands on Braun. He put his hands on Braun and pushed Braun back. And then when niggas started grabbing him, that's when he started going crazy to try to get to him. It happens all the time, bro. It happens all the time. I'm telling you.
Frank is a Laker fan.
If you're thinking it's fake, no, I agree there. I think Stewart needed to compose himself. But if you're thinking about what, and I wrote this down, Rudy Gobert just said about Miles Turner. People in this league act like they're about that life when they're not about that life. Stewart showed you, no, I'm really about that life, bro. Let me get my hands on you, bro. That's what he showed me last night. Listen, I grew up in the hood. I played hood basketball. I played park basketball. I've seen that before. When he was trucking people like he was a running back, that wasn't for show. You can say what you want. That was not for a show. You can say all the grabbing in the beginning was about show. No, when that blood started leaking down his face and he knew it, did you see the look in his eyes? Did you see that?
He was
That
definitely
wasn't
angry.
for show, bro.
He was
The anger 100% wanted to get his hands on LeBron. I'm not saying he wanted to fight LeBron. I'm not saying he wanted to hurt LeBron, but he wanted to get his hands on LeBron. I think he wanted to continue his conversation, and I think everybody surrounding him hyped it up. I think he did take it a little overboard, and I think you'll see Stewart get a longer suspension than LeBron because of his antics. But it was uncalled for, but at the same time, I can see why he reacted like that. Because, bro, if you're looking at it from his point, I'm boxing out. I'm just playing basketball. It don't matter if our arms are tangled. It don't give you a right to throw an elbow in the vicinity of my damn head. Everybody does that. Everybody gets called the same. Everybody gets called. So we have to take it the same for the king. We have to. No, he's not a dirty player.
Bron looked at him and then he swung the elbow, but he swung it in a motion where he was already being boxed. He didn't even look back when he threw the elbow.
No, it wasn't even looking back. Stewart, when Stewart at the part where Bron backed up, he linked eyes with Stewart after the elbow connected. I'm not saying he looked back and was like, yeah, take that. I'm not saying he intentionally threw the elbow at Stewart, but he intentionally threw that elbow. Basketball players intentionally throw elbows all the time.
Too.
That's why I think he deserves to also be suspended, because look at you throwing your elbow. It's just like, to me, you can't sit here and take up for LeBron and not take up for Draymond Green when he's shooting and his leg flails and he kicks Adams in his nuts.
Or when he kicked Bron in the sack, or when he kicked Bron in the sack in the playoff in the finals. Draymond was absolutely in the right. He deserved the flagrant, but he was absolutely in the right with LeBron stepping over him. Yeah, I agree on that aspect. But I think but I do believe that he had ample time to act as crazy as he wanted to when he was face to face. You can tell in the video they was like talking to each other, and Bron like a little apologizing. Everybody started grabbing.
Bron apologized before Marcus said, as Smart Stewart was walking up to him. Bron was like, "Yo, I'm sorry. I'll give Bron that, but you can't say that he didn't react that way, because it happened like this. Bron hits him. He walks up. Stewart bends, turns around. He's looking at Bron. They both say something. Bron said sorry, and then Stewart puts his hands on Bron. He did. Mm-hmm. He was going to push Bron. He was going to give him back or whatever. He was going to react. When everybody started holding him back and he started to taste that blood in his mouth and feel it leaking out his face.
Yeah, if you look at the video, Bron
is when he started getting hyped. So I agree with you. He overreacted, but at the same time, if you're thinking Stewart is young, how old is this kid? He's young. Yeah, he's not a veteran. So
he might be like 19, 20.
Yeah, so he's not a vet. He's not going to know how to handle these situations. That's why I think he's also going to get a suspension. I can tell you this morning, the team sat down with him. I know that for sure. The team sat down with him and let him know that can't happen again, or there's no place for you here in this league. Because I would say LeBron didn't intentionally hit him with the elbow, but he intentionally threw that damn elbow. And he just has to take the responsibility that comes with it. GK, I saw your faces over there. What is your thoughts on it?
I agree with Frank. Basically, I don't think that Bron was aiming his elbow, but I definitely think he threw it on purpose for sure.
Viciously though, he threw it viciously. You got to take that shit into account.
Right. But I don't think he was like, I'm gonna elbow this dude in the eye right now.
No, I'm not saying that.
I don't think that's what went through his
Bron's
head.
not that type of player.
Right. And then the other thing is just a typical basketball fight, right? Like nothing really ever happens.
I wouldn't say that in this one, because think about this one reminded me of the Carmelo and the Nuggets one when they were actually throwing hands. If Stewart could have got to Bron, he would have threw hands with him. After the initial grabbing, when people wouldn't let him get to him, when he started to get hyped, if he would have got to Bron, I think if he even got to Anthony Davis, he would have threw hands.
Yeah, I think the second time around, he was more so squared up with Russell Westbrook. That's why Russ wound up getting the tag. So Russ stepped in and was like, he squared up with him as he was charging through everybody the second time around. That's why Russ wound up getting the technical. So I think after a while, Isaiah was just going after multiple people. At first, he went after LeBron, then it went from LeBron to AD, then from AD to Russ.
It was just blind rage. He wanted to get somebody. Yeah. That's why I'm saying.
Once he saw that blood, man,
that's why
like a bull in a cage.
That's why I'm saying it wasn't fake for him. It was real for him. And in basketball, I'm telling you, I grew up in the hood. I grew up with cats like that. Basketball went out the window for him. It was all about getting his hands on somebody. But sorry to cut you off, GK. That's rude of me. Go ahead and continue what you were saying.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how everything unfolded, because he probably was being a little bit extra trying to get the box out, right? And Bron didn't like that. So that's why he was like, no, get off me, threw it, happened to hit him in the eye, bleeding. Young kids like, yo, I'm not gonna sit back and take this. So, respect for him for that. But like, honestly, I don't know. It kind of got a little out of hand, and I don't blame him because he was leaking from his face, but that probably never should have happened either. But I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't really think that this means much more than like it was a kind of a perfect storm of events, considering all the circumstances, given him being the young guy and Bron being the vet and this and that. And I don't know. I'm sure that that both of them are gonna not do anything similar again. So
I'm pretty sure in the next game, when they next see each other, you'll see Stewart and Bron mid-court talking.
Probably, yeah.
Because Bron's gonna make sure he knows, like, yo, bro, I did not intentionally. I did throw the elbow, but it wasn't meant to hit you like that, bro. I threw it to because NBA players throw elbows to get space. And I think that's what LeBron was doing. That was LeBron's true intent. But you can't take the intent just because that was his true intent. You can't take that away from that elbow striking somebody and hitting somebody. Just like Draymond's true intent of flailing his leg isn't to kick somebody in the nuts, but he gets penalized for that. But
I get you,
Pete. What's your takeaway from it?
So from what I saw, in my opinion, it looked like Isaiah got the best of LeBron on the foul line on the box out. And then after Isaiah got the best of LeBron on the box out, LeBron being tangled up in the arms with him, swung his elbow down with a lot of velocity. Did he mean to connect the way he connected? No, because actually the elbow is not what made contact. It was the fist that made contact on the follow through.
Yeah, no, it was the elbow hit his eye and his hand hit his mouth.
Yeah,
okay.
He was cutting like that's why
his mouth was bleeding, and that's why his eye was bleeding.
I just
the elbow hit the eye, and they have
the elbow got the eye.
They have a freeze picture with the elbow hitting the eye, and as the hand came down, it scrapes across his mouth.
Yeah, because I saw the fist hit him and his lips went to this side. Okay, when the fist hit him. Okay, so
Isaiah Stewart about to come fuck you up, Pete.
so I think I will say this, right? LeBron's not a dirty player. He didn't want to do that kind of damage to the dude. But when you swing with that kind of velocity and with the rules that we follow in the NBA today, anything above the neck, you getting a flagrant, you're getting suspended, you're getting fined. And it's definitely deserving when you see the amount of damage that it did to the guy's face. Now, in Isaiah Stewart's defense, as far as the way he acted and stuff, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not like the man took a small shot where we're like, all right, he's faking, get over it. The man's face was covered in blood, man. So to be honest with you, and especially with his age and how young he is and things like that, and the fact too that, let's be real, Detroit's not really a good team. They probably tired of people coming around walking all over you. Oh, we the big bad Lakers. We're gonna boss y'all around, do this, do that, do this. No, it's good to see somebody on that team show some toughness and say, guess what? Even though we don't got a good record, even though we don't make the playoffs, you know what? I'm a young fellow on this team, and I want to show y'all that this is the type of player and this is the type of attitude the Detroit Pistons want to start playing with now to get some respect around this league. The biggest thing that I think Isaiah Stewart has going against him is the fact that the NBA does not tolerate you not leaving the court in a timely fashion. That is the biggest mistake.
Well, he wasn't even ejected at that point. They assessed it and then threw LeBron and him out.
Right, but when I say leaving in a timely fashion is, you don't have to be ejected. Your face is leaking blood. Get off the court.
Oh, no.
If referees, if your assistant coaches and your players are all grabbing you and trying to take you to the locker room, it's time to leave in a nice, orderly fashion. You don't got to be ejected.
That boy put on his best Derrick Henry. Nigga. He was running him over. He was running him over.
Cade Cunningham with a no parts.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, Anthony Davis said some comments or whatever. To me, you kind of sounded like a tough guy and things like, well, I don't know what Isaiah was trying to do and different things like that. You can say you don't know what Isaiah was thinking about or what he was trying to do, or you got your boys back and you got your brothers back, like you said, which you should have your brothers back. But I'm going to be honest with y'all. Don't sleep on that boy because he might have been able to give y'all some work. Just saying.
Oh, he was gonna give somebody some work that night. Terry, that look in his
He wasn't
eye.
he ain't a little boy,
the
man.
look in Stewart's eye. I've seen it so many times living in the hood. And trust me, that boy wanted to give somebody some work. All right. And at one
Just
point in
one last
time,
word real quick.
he didn't care who it was. First, it was Braun. He was going to give Braun, he wanted to give Braun to work. But once everybody started pushing and shoving, and Anthony Davis started talking to him and going wild or whatever he was saying, he said, all right, now you the target.
Turned up.
And he pushed the two guys. They fell. Anthony Davis trips over. And then Westbrook, oh, you want some too? That's a true mind of like, yo, I want to kill anything. Bro.
I saw Russell Westbrook, right? He was squaring up and nobody was in front of him. And he was like this. And nobody was around him.
Somebody said they wanted to make one more point.
I saw somebody put on the internet, they said Russell Westbrook looked like the Notre Dame mascot.
They did.
You know, if you can picture what the Notre Dame symbol looks like.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Hey, but real quick though, I think that where I do think that backfired, that the whole antics backfired with the Detroit Pistons, because at that point they were actually up on the Lakers, double digits.
Yeah,
and the Lakers wound up coming back in that fourth quarter, using that as momentum to come back in the fourth quarter.
Davis was already hot. Davis, see, I played ball as a kid, so I know if you made me mad on the court, I was cooking you. You wasn't going to stop me, nigga. It was like putting your hand over hot fire. I'm burning you. That's how I was as a kid, bro. That's how it was. So I know Anthony Davis' mindset was like, oh, all right, you lit the flame. All right, it's already up. I'm not putting it out. And that's
they went straight in the mode.
He did his thing. But we got to get to the next topic, man. Next topic is a good one, and then we got the NBA tiers after that, and that's going to take a while. So we need to move the show along, man. So recently in the sports world, the sports news, Scottie Pippen is writing a book coming out talking about all this stuff about Michael Jordan, and he just said, I just seen something yesterday saying if he could play with one other legend, it'd be Kobe Bryant, the same person as Michael Jordan. Yeah, so we got to talk about this, man. So Scottie played one season in the Bulls, one full season alone. I believe he averaged 22 points that season. Scottie has never averaged over 25 points for a whole season. Even in the year that he played alone, which was 1993-94. Oh, yeah, 93-94. He had, out of 72 games that he played, he had 16 25-plus games, 8 30-plus games, but 24 games below 20 points. So I don't know where he says he's a superstar when, to me, he had his time to prove that. Right there, when Jordan wasn't playing, you had your time to prove that. Everybody talks about the 55-win Bulls, but if you actually go back and you actually look at the Bulls' records before, you know, that 93-94 season, it was like 70 wins, 66 wins, 61 wins. So for the year before that, it was 57. He lost 2 more games. But I think Scottie, like people say, he's the best second guy you can have next to a superstar. I will give Scottie that. But for Scottie to be out here talking about he want to be considered the greatest of all time, Scottie is tripping. Scottie is tripping because Michael Jordan, he missed a lot, right? So he only played 11 seasons, I think.
Who?
11 seasons, Michael Jordan. 11 seasons.
13.
Well, 13.
13 to 14.
I got 11 here, but it might be 13.
Or 11 with the Bulls.
Yeah, no, yeah, and 2 with Washington. No, it's because he retired for 3. He didn't play in 89, 99. He didn't play in 99, 2000. He didn't play in 2000, 2001. And then he came back in 2001, 2002 and played for the Washington Wizards. I don't know. It's either 13 or 11, but I don't see him. I see 3 years of him averaging under 25. I see 3 years of him averaging under 25 points on the season. So when you're comparing Michael, who came out his rookie year and averaged 28 points, I mean, I don't see Scottie on the level as Michael. He might be that second, like I said, he's the best Robin to a Batman. But I'm just spilling out mines because I want you guys to get into it. Even Scottie, when he went to the playoffs, he had a good playoff series, but 31, 22, 23, 24, 22, 25, 25, 23. He had a 13-point game in a playoff game against the Knicks, a 13-point playoff game. But yeah, let's start with I want to start with GK again. I want to start with GK. GK, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you make it sound so simple when you use points per game as the only metric.
Yeah, I'm saying that to myself over here, man. Is that all we basing it on? Tell him,
Right.
GK. Tell him,
It's-
GK.
That could be
Talk to
true,
him,
but
G.
I'm looking. But the reason why I based it, the reason.
Seriously.
No, I got the comeback. I got the comeback. What is the most important when we're talking about a great player? What is the most important thing that they must do? Score the ball, right? The most important thing about
No.
when people look at them, so you name me besides Gary Payton, one greatest player that couldn't carry a scoring load.
But it depends on what other players you have on your team if that's the role you need to fill.
Yes, but what I'm saying is when you're talking about the greatest player of all time, those guys are scorers. Anybody, you look at Shaq Dominant, score. Wilt, scorer. Hakeem, scorer. Everybody look at Kobe, scorer. LeBron, scorer. So what I'm saying is, the reason why I use points, and I'll explain it, is because for me, it's when you talk about, it's not the only thing, GK, and you got me on that, I will accept that. But I got a lot more stuff to go into, but I wanted to pass it to you guys instead of going into a whole rant. This nigga turned the lights off. I wanted to pass it to you guys before going into a whole rant. But the reason why I use scoring, because it's a simple metric to judge somebody by. What are you offering? Because I also have assists highlighted. I also have rebounds. I also have field goal percentage, three-point percentage, the things that are affected in the game, defense. Like I have accolades, what Scottie did in his career. I have all that in front of me. So I get what you're saying. My points that I pointed out at the beginning, that's my fault. I should have mixed some other stuff in there. I did just throw out points and metrics. But when you're talking about being the greatest player of all time, that means you're carrying your team. Anybody that's the greatest of all time that you can name in a top 10 carried their team in points. And if not leading in points, they were the main scorer on their team. And I could name a whole list of Hall of Famers that were. You can't give me a whole list that wasn't. And that's why
Great
I'm using
offense
scoring.
beat great defense. That I give you that.
That's why I'm using it. That's
Great
why.
No, listen, I'm gonna let
GK
GK talk. I'm gonna let GK talk, but I just want to say one quick thing, GK, real quick, right? Scottie Pippen is a great, but I didn't know this was going to turn into is he the greatest of all time. Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. Nobody, I think, is arguing that.
Pippen is arguing. It came out as Pippen literally said in an interview last week, I want to be considered the greatest of all time. That's what he said. That's quote unquote. That's what Pippen said. But go ahead, GK.
Was that on the GQ interview? Because
it was one of them. And he said some other stuff too. He just called out a couple of other things that the boy is wilding. But go ahead, GK.
I tried to read as much as I could before the show today, and all I really saw was that before the Last Dance, Pippen never said anything bad about Jordan ever.
Mm-mm.
And then after the Last Dance, that's when everything blew up and he decided to come out and say and be all mad. He's mad, right? Because Jordan got $10 million for the Last Dance. Guess how much any teammate got?
They say zero.
Zero, right? Nobody else got nothing. And then Pippen felt like it was condescending and basically just misleading that the whole perception that was drawn, and he felt like that everybody else was basically being left out. And it was just too much on MJ. But I will say this in terms of how you're talking about the points per game and stuff, like they were pretty much designing, like the offense, in my opinion, was designed for and meant for Jordan to be the one to score all the points because he was the most talented at scoring. And, that's how they built the team. So they didn't really build everything for Scottie to be the leading scorer in points per game on the team because it wasn't going to work like that. So like I feel like you can't always say to judge it like that because you could have a team where your best guy on the team isn't going to lead you in points per game because he's more suited to do other things and he's better at doing certain things that isn't scoring a lot better than maybe somebody that their best strength is scoring, but they're not the best player on the team, but they're going to lead the team in points because that's going to be their role, right, on the team. So those would be points I argue. I'm not going to sit here and say that, Pippen should be placed ahead of Jordan and like best basketball players of all time or anything like that. But at the same time, I do understand why Scotty's mad and you know, I do see where he's saying like maybe people do put Jordan on a pedestal higher than they should. Not to say that he shouldn't be number one, but just saying that like he's so far ahead of everybody else that's left might be too much to say.
Pete.
Yeah. So first of all, let me start off. I didn't know Scotty actually said, "I'm the greatest of all time." I thought he said
I want to be considered the greatest of all time.
Okay. I thought he was more saying like, "I'm one of the greats. We need to recognize that." And if that is what I thought he was saying, then I agree with him. He is one of the greats. Yeah. That's why he was a top 50 of all time. And now he's part of the top 75 of all time. This, and GK started it off with exactly what I would have started off with. This Last Dance documentary opened up a whole new can of worms. A whole can of worms that have been under the carpet for the last 20 years, 25 years, however long it's been. And it just brought up all these memories of, now I get to watch this documentary as say Scottie Pippen is, or even other players on the Bulls. And I got to see exactly how much everybody was treated lesser than Michael Jordan. And then on top of that, we're all giving this documentary. Yeah, it's more about Michael Jordan than the rest of us, but he gets $10 million and we get nothing. Michael Jordan gets like $300 million a year, no matter what, on Jordan sneaker sales for his lifetime contract. Michael Jordan doesn't need to make $10 million is pennies to Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan is the one giving an interview in some fancy mansion. He wasn't even doing the interviews for the Last Dance in his own house. That was some fancy place they put him up in just to do these interviews. And he's smoking his cigar and things like that and looking all, whatever, and sounding a certain way. And what a lot of people got to see and understand about that documentary was like a lot of mistreatment and not fairness is going on. And we get it. When you're the superstar, you're always given more leeway in different things and stuff like that. But I'm on Scottie Pippen's side with a lot of different things. And when you were talking about points, I never looked at Scottie like that. I looked at Scottie as Mr. Do Everything. Get you your rebounds, get you your points when you need it, get you your steals, play your defense. Michael Jordan made it clear right in that documentary. He's the best player he ever played ball with before, with Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan and the Bulls don't win these 6 championships without Scottie Pippen. And then if you really want to focus on points, let's be real. If you take Scottie Pippen off of that team and you put him on any other team, maybe Scottie Pippen is averaging that 25, 26, 27, 8 points a game. But when you got a guy like Michael Jordan next to you, who's your shooting guard and is undeniably the greatest player of all time, even when it was during the 90s, before we're even at this point to call him that, we all knew Michael Jordan is the greatest player in the NBA. He is the best. We all knew that. So when you put Scottie on a team like that, and you got to be underneath that man's shadow the entire time, and night in and night out, no matter what kind of game I have, Michael Jordan is always the one that gets all the credit. That's tough, man. And then when Scottie Pippen has to relive all these moments that maybe was swept under the rug that he hasn't thought about in years, and he's watching it like, oh, damn, I forgot about that. Oh, there's another time I was disrespected. Oh, and what about that time? And then we're talking about the money that Scottie Pippen didn't make during his contract, which I get was all Scottie Pippen's fault. He's the one that signed that contract that was ridiculous, where he got like however much million for like 10-year contract or something, and didn't make the money that he should have made when he was well deserving of making that big money and making a big contract. That's his fault. But at the same time, I feel like Scottie Pippen is probably, and I won't even say in basketball, in all of sports, one of the most underrated players just because he had to play next to Michael Jordan. You put Scottie Pippen on any of them other teams, he is the superstar. He's giving an interview every night. He's winning the MVPs. I mean, keep in mind, I remember every single All-Star game, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were voted in as starters. Every single year during that 90s run with the Bulls, Scottie Pippen was always a starter on the All-Star team. You knew each and every year that was your starting shooting guard, that was your starting small forward. It wasn't just about Jordan. Scottie was really that good, and I feel bad for the man that he had to be under that type of like shadow because Michael Jordan was just so good, almost like Kyrie. Kyrie wanted to get away from the Cavs because he knew what a superstar he could be, but he would never get his recognition playing next to LeBron. It's just not going to happen. It's
That's
just
not
not
fair.
gonna
That's not
happen.
even fair to
Yeah,
say.
I don't know
because
about Kyrie.
Yeah, that's not even fair to say because Kyrie had the team before LeBron got there and did nothing with it. But another thing about Scottie is, yeah, you can say Scottie did all these things and Scottie is a great player. We all know that. Nobody disputing that Scottie is a great player. And yes, you guys killed my point, my stance on just using points. But that's not all I'm using. Yes, Scottie was a great rebounder. Scottie was a great defensive player. But for anybody to sit here and say, Pete, that Bulls don't win the championships without Scottie and don't then say it the other way, Bulls don't also win them championships without Michael. That's not fair to say. Hold on, Pete, because that's not fair to say because Scottie can't get it done alone. When Scottie had a chance to get it done alone in a year when he won 55 games, he got bounced in the second round in game 7. That's this guy that you're saying can lead a team. I'm not saying Scottie can't lead a team, but for Scottie game is not a number one option game. That's what I'm saying. Scottie needs a guy in front of him to be the first option, for Scottie to be the second option, for Scottie to drive.
How do you know?
Because Scottie, how do I know Scottie? Go ahead, Pete.
No, they went from MJ to nobody. It's not like they went from MJ to somebody slightly lesser. Like,
what do you mean it went from
MJ
to nobody? It went from MJ to Scottie Pippen.
No, I'm saying Scottie and MJ went from Scottie and MJ to Scottie and nobody. Like, how do you know if it was not Scottie and somebody who would be the second option, that Scottie could be the first option if he had a second option?
Can I just correct one point? Because I think I was completely misunderstood on something. I didn't mention that Scottie couldn't win it without Michael Jordan because I felt like that goes without saying.
But that's why Pete, what I'm saying is it also goes.
Scotty's not winning without Jordan. We
but
know that
also already. Anybody that brings up Scottie, what I'm saying is, and that's the point I brought it up, Pete, you are right. It goes without saying, but it also goes without saying that Jordan said it out his own mouth. Pete, where you go? You still there?
I'm still a phone call came out.
All right. But Jordan said it out his own mouth. I would not have my 6 rings without Scottie. That's what I'm saying. To your point of Scottie, Michael doesn't win without Scottie. Both ways, it's already, you don't need to say him because everybody knows without Jordan, there's no Scottie, and without Scottie, there's no 6 rings for Michael. Either which way, but we can even take it further. When you saying Scottie being shadowed, right? And 1989, towards the end of Scottie's career, where he still put up, the fucking points were cut off. He still put up over 20 points in the season when he went to Houston to play with the fucking everybody else. He went to somebody else's shadow. When he goes to Portland, he goes to somebody else's shadow. Why did in those years he prove that he had something to prove? I'm not saying Scottie isn't a great player. Scottie is one of the greatest second options there will ever be. But when you ask even NBA players, where does Scottie rank amongst first options and second options? Everybody's going to put him as a second option, not a first. And there are players like that. Ryan Horry or Brian, whatever his name, can Robin Horry be a first option?
No.
I'm gonna kick it to you, Frank. That's my point, P. But go ahead, Frank.
Just off the rip, the goat hails from Akron. Like, I just want to just throw that out there.
No, he doesn't.
When it comes to Scottie, this is my thing. Scottie hurting right now, but with good reason. Scottie's hurting.
It is a good reason.
He's hurting.
He ain't get paid.
It's the fact that he doesn't get enough credit for the success of the Bulls, not so much the success of Michael Jordan, but the success of the Bulls winning the championships. And during those championships run, everybody catered to Michael Jordan, and everybody was worried about Jordan and the Duncan did you? In all of those 6 championship runs, Scottie led the team in rebound, assists, steals, and blocks.
Yeah, that's what Pete was saying.
For all 6 teams, and all people talked about was Michael Jordan scoring.
Because
in one of those
6 Finals MVPs.
But Jordan. But hold on to that point real quick. If you take away Jordan's scoring and Scottie gets all them rebounds, what happens?
Maybe the ball goes somewhere else.
That's why everybody. But that's what I'm saying. That's why the ball goes somewhere else, but they don't win, and that's the point. That's why everybody. And I agree with what you just said. I think younger people now don't give Scottie the credit Scottie deserves. But older people like us, Scottie does. But when you talk to NBA players like Shaq and you hear them talk about Scottie, they do give him the credit. You can't give somebody more credit because they want more credit. Scottie is on the level, he is looked at on the level of a top 50 player of all time, bro. All time. Dwight Howard can't say that. Klay Thompson can't say that. You feel me? There's a guys that cannot say that. Scottie is in the realm of these top guys. Scottie wants to be at the top of the list. That's not fair to say, because Scottie has never shown anything in his career to be on top of the list. You said LeBron, right? The king reigns from Akron. He has a great fucking resume to say why he deserves to be on the top of the list. So does Jordan, so does Kobe.
Yeah, I number one don't feel in any way, shape, or form that Scottie should be considered the GOAT of all time. I just think that's just
I don't think anybody does.
But that's what I'm speaking to.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
that's what I'm speaking.
I've never heard one person say Scottie Pippen is the greatest basketball player of all time.
Scottie said it himself.
I think we all can agree on that.
Scottie, yes, I think we all can. But Scottie, that's what I'm talking to. And that's my B. I should have, said some other stuff in the beginning with points. I'll give that to Pete and GK. You guys got me on that one. But I'm not saying Scottie's not. Scottie is a Hall of Famer. He's a 7-time All-Star. He deserves more credit. He's a still champ, and I agree that he's a 7-time NBA champion, 7-time All-Time champion, 7-time All-Defensive. He has a All-Star MVP. He's a top NBA 75 player.
And he's number 2. And he's number 2 on the all-time assist leader from small forwards behind LeBron James.
Yeah, but if you're talking about small forwards alone, not even Michael, where does Scottie rank amongst the greatest small forwards of all time?
Now that's a whole nother argument now.
Top 10.
I can say top 10.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He probably would get top 10. Do you agree with that, GK? Where does Scottie rank amongst the all-time best small forwards?
I think you have to be top 10.
I would agree there. So, but that's what I'm saying. Us fans, and this is why I call this podcast From the Sideline, because us fans, we give people credit. We know Scottie was great, but I agree Scottie's hurt right now. Scottie's coming out and he's coming after everybody. He attacked Charles Barkley. He's coming out after everybody. He does not care no more. He's not keeping his mouth shut. He's doing a little bit of what Kwame Brown did. You guys did this shit long enough. Now I'm gonna come out and say something. I get that. And I love, you guys, Pete and GK, I love your pushback on my points argument. It's a reason why I only named the points and not everything else, because I wanted to see how you guys take it. Because a lot of people in today, especially on TikTok, all they rely on is points. So I wanted you guys to attack my point argument so you can see there's other things in the games that matter. Rebounding is one of those things. People don't care about rebounding because they feel like the tallest guy is going to get the rebounds no matter what. But that's not always true. Just look at Russell Westbrook. He's a rebounding machine at point guard. But
I got a question for you real quick.
Go ahead.
If Michael Jordan never played in the NBA and Scottie had somebody else on the Bulls from the 90s, like Clyde, Reggie, or Mitch Richmond, or whoever, any of the good 2 guards from that era, right? You don't think the Bulls still win a bunch of championships?
Not 6.
That's fair.
Not 3 three-peats. Not 2 three-peats. Not 2 three-peats.
But they still get them championships. They still get a couple, right?
But you could throw but you can say that with anybody. But look at the Knicks.
And not only do they get a couple, Scottie might be the number 1 option on the team.
Right.
That's a possibility.
That could be a possibility, but where has he shown it in his career? Just because he's behind Jordan, and I get it, he's overshadowing a superstar of superstars like LeBron. LeBron is a superstar of superstars. But Scottie had a chance when he got out of Chicago to go somewhere where he could have been the number 1 option. He showed that he's one of the greatest players, but he didn't. He went to another stacked team to try to help them win. What did he do when he left Houston? After going to that stacked team, he went to another stacked team to be in somebody else's shadow. Scottie did it to himself, and that's my point. Scottie
wasn't he already like 36 years old at that point?
He was old at that point.
He could have been, and I said it earlier, towards the tail end of his career, but that's still on Scottie. Scottie still was playing straight up. Scottie still was playing 40 minutes on Houston, 33, 32, 29, and 17 his last year. He was still playing minutes where he could have been the top leading scorer.
Scottie said straight up one of the biggest
top guy on the team.
Scottie said years ago, before he even said in this new interview about, even though he did call Barkley out on some recent things, Scottie said years ago, one of the worst mistakes he ever made was when he went to Houston, because he had no idea Charles Barkley only cared about 2 things, 10 points and 10 rebounds a night. He said Charles Barkley at that stage in his career was lazy as heck, didn't hustle, nothing. All he cared about was did he get his 10 points and his 10 rebounds, and he shut it down for the rest of the night.
But what you got to understand, that falls on Scottie too, because Scottie could have picked a better place to go to try to win more championships. Scottie could have won championships without Jordan. That's my point. Whether he's the second option, third option, it doesn't matter. Then we can talk about how great Scottie was. But Scottie being great is already talked about in a sense to me, and this is just my opinion. I respect all you guys' opinion. Everybody made some great points. I'll let you go on the second point. But Scottie is looked at how Scottie should be looked at. The best Robin to a Batman. There will be no other. He is the only one that can ever have that status. There's never going to be another Robin that comes to Pippen standard, because you would then have to win 6 championships and do it, or more, win 6+ championships, but do it in back-to-back three-peats. Do it in multiple. That's what the Batman and Robin effect had with Michael and Pippen. That's why I say, if you look at Michael and Pippen, no, I don't think Michael is anything he is today without Pippen, but I sure don't think Pippen is a top 50 player without Michael.
Can I bring up a point real quick to that?
Well, let Frank go first, the GK, because
okay, go ahead, Frank.
Real quick, I think Clay might be in there too for one of the greatest Robins. I would say he's creeping right up there too, right?
Scotty's
category.
You can put anybody you want under here, but Scotty's going to be king of kings.
I agree. Yeah.
Just the 6 rings, put him over the top. But look how Scottie got.
He's a vital point to
the Last Dance. Look how
I didn't watch it
in the Last Dance.
I didn't watch it.
He got portrayed as being selfish, as he wasn't about the team. He
had his moments though.
They downplayed how he carried that Chicago Bulls team to a 56 wins and the number 2 seed. They might even been the number 1 seed, or it was the top 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference. They downplayed that on Scottie. Scottie got downplayed a lot. They bigged up Michael Jordan and the food poisoning, flu game, and they downplayed Scottie playing with a bad back. Those are the things that factor into Scottie feeling how he feel. And that has to fall at the feet of Michael Jordan, because at the end of the day, Michael Jordan had the last say so of the Last Dance. He had to sign off on everything. It was his, at the end of the day, it was his documentary. And
I think we all agree there. I think we all think that's fucked up. I think we all think that's fucked up, that he did what he did. And I think we all are at the understanding that Scottie isn't wrong for saying the things he's saying, but the things he's saying are wrong. That's my point.
How long can you sit around and be disrespected? It's bad enough that
I said he did the Kwame Brown. I said it.
I've been in the guy's shadow all my life. Okay,
Never
he
said
got
anything.
all the credit. Mm-hmm. He got all the credit, which was deserving, because Michael Jordan was that good. And then now this documentary comes out, and you can obviously see Jordan's hands were all over that documentary. All over it. And then it gets to the point where it's just like, dang, bro.
But
I'm
good
too.
Why? And this is the thing.
And they're downplaying Scottie.
I'm going to kick it to GK after this. You know what the thing is? What is MJ's net worth? What is Scottie Pippen net worth? Money talks. And that's the thing nobody is talking about. Money talks. That's why
Scottie cleaned bankruptcy like 5-10 years ago.
But that's why Jordan was
Scottie did that to himself.
But that's why Jordan was able to do what he did with the Last Dance, because his money talks louder than anybody else's fucking money. Trust me. That's why Michael was able to walk off with 10 mil and nobody else got nothing, because his bank talked loud, and whoever produced it was like, nah, we got to follow Michael, or Michael's not going to want to do the documentary. We got to do what Mike says, or Mike not going to want to do the documentary. Look what Mike did to Isaiah Thomas. He's going to keep us out of doing the documentary. But they didn't want to go through that. So you just go through everything through him. But my thing is, every Bulls teammate that went into that documentary without any paperwork, contract, agent, of knowing what you were getting paid, it's on them too. You can't just put it on Michael. But go ahead, GK. You wanted to say something.
A couple things. I'm wondering why Mike just wouldn't have wanted it to be a team project anyway. But that's another thing.
Selfish.
Yes, we know that about Mike.
The Clay Steph thing, that's a very good point too, because it's really similar. Because Clay guards their best guy. He's capable of scoring.
And he's just as good of a shooter.
But do you think Clay could be a number 1 option?
Sure, absolutely. Why not? There's so many variables and so many different things that
It has to be the right fit for
that
him
is
to be a
so
number one.
far hypothetical, and I'm a hypothetical thinker, right? But that
Me
one is
too.
just so far because you got to dive deep into the rabbit hole because it's like situation, teammates, roles, this, that. Do you need him to be the top scorer? Do you need him to guard the like so many different types of things? Like, does he have the mindset to be able to be the number one, or is he able to flourish as the number two because he knows he has a number one scorer? Like so many different things, but
can he put the ball on the floor when I need him to?
That's a little bit off topic. The point I wanted to bring up was, would we be even having this conversation about Scottie or Jordan at all if Shaq never leaves the Lakers and Kobe and Shaq win 10 titles together? Then nobody's talking about Jordan at all, and nobody's talking about Scottie at all. And
I don't think that's true because Bill got what, 11? 10? What Russell got?
1800s.
So but that don't matter. In the league that don't matter. And a lot of people today still got Bill. It does matter. It does. Bill still is mentioned amongst people's top 10s today.
Sure he is.
I have Bill in my top 10 because what he did for the game was great.
Out of respect, though, you got him up there out of respect.
My top 10. No, my top 10 is talent and what the talent, the time they played in, and what they did with that talent, and how important they were to the game. That's why I have Magic in my own top 10, and right below him is Bird, because without Magic, there's no Bird, and without Bird, there's no damn Magic, and without Bird and Magic, there's no NBA, and people don't realize that shit. Everybody put Magic there, but don't put Bird there. Bird helped save the NBA along with Magic.
Yeah, absolutely. Bird was a huge, yeah. But I mean, the only thing about, and we getting off topic a little bit, and this is no disrespect to Bill Russell and his 11 championships. And
I bet you before you say that, Pete, I bet you challenge Bill Russell right now one-on-one. He cook your ass. So watch what you say. Watch what you say before Bill Russell get the walkout on you. All right.
But Troy,
Bill Russell when he played Bill Russell when he played. He was him and Wilt Chamberlain were the only 2 7-footers in the NBA. It was a bunch of 6 feet white guys running around.
Bill Russell only 6'9".
That's not their fault. I don't like that argument, Pete, because it's not their fault. It's not Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell's fault that this was their competition. Just like it's not MJ fault, that was his competition. It's not LeBron's fault. He got to a final 10 times because the competition couldn't stop him. It's not their fault. You play the people that's in front of you. And Wilt dominated, Bill dominated. That was the start of it. And I think
you gotta take into account when the competition is not good.
No, that's
that gotta mean something.
You can, but when you take into account that the competition is not good, you take away from Bill and Wilt's skill. I used to have this conversation with my cousin. I got him to change his mind on Wilt being one of the greatest players that ever played the game because Wilt was nasty, and if Wilt was at this time, he'd be cooking. Wilt would be cooking. Ain't no Jokic and B. But
if you were to ask Wilt, do you think he would be able to stand out more then or now? The answer would be then.
Yeah, because of the people around. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. You can take that into consideration. I agree with you guys. But I don't think it's at the top of the list of taking into consideration the talent that was around. People do that shit with Jordan all the time. Jordan had great people that played in his time. Wilt could have had great people that played in his time, but they could never get to the basket. Why? Because Wilt was blocking his shots. It's the same thing. The same Jordan effect. Wilt could have had that effect in his time. A doctor could have had that effect. Larry and Magic had that effect. You know, Scottie and Jordan had that effect. LeBron has that effect. KD somewhat has that effect. Giannis is gaining that effect. You understand what I'm saying? People have that effect. Like, what were you going to say, Pete?
I was just going to say, too, you know, just to jump back on the whole Jordan Scottie thing real quick or whatever. And listen, I'll be the first to admit, Jordan's the greatest player of all time. I got no problem saying that, right? But just because, like, I kind of still feel really bad for Scottie. Say it again?
I said, I think that's debatable.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just giving my opinion, you know, whatever. And I know what a lot of people think as Jordan being the greatest, whatever. But just to help Scottie out a little bit, because I kind of do still feel bad for Scottie. I feel the disrespect and all that stuff or whatever. Supposedly, from what I hear, Jordan really only wanted this documentary to come out because he wanted the younger generation that didn't know a lot about Jordan to see how good he was, because he got tired of the younger generation only talking about LeBron James. So he wanted all this old video of himself, because you got to realize, like, dudes in their early 20s and 18, 19 years old, ain't like, oh, okay, Jordan's good because I watched YouTube, or Jordan's good because my older
Some of
family
them
members
are.
told me how good Jordan
Some of
was.
them are, but yeah, the majority of people are just like LeBron's the greatest because they've never seen it. But that's a lot of
He's
people's
never seen
argument. A lot of people like you can't say Bill Russell's the greatest because you've never seen him play. That's not true. If you could understand the impact he had on the game and his talent and how it was used in that time, you can say that these players are the greatest players in the game. Impact goes a long way in the game. Steph Curry impact, some people say, is greater than LeBron's impact. I think that's debatable too, but impact goes a long way. Some people in their top 10s when LeBron's career is done and Steph Curry's career is done, some people are gonna have Steph above LeBron. Like it's
changing the game.
Yeah,
talent and skill got to mean something though, in this conversation. Because Wilt and those guys were doing it against mailmen and post workers. Like these guys
That's
weren't
not
just
fair to
basketball
say, bro.
players. These guys had two jobs.
Yeah, but
like,
Troy,
that was the case back then. Like
I
these
agree
guys
with Frank.
weren't just basketball players.
Troy, let me ask you this, Troy. Like, okay, if you took,
we spent way too much time on this topic.
Hold on, real quick. So if you took, let's say you took the worst player in the NBA in that era, like the 60s or whatever, right? The worst player in the league, or the worst player on the team, right? He can't even make the team today, right?
Our AAU team.
He can't even make the team. He will get cut.
The athleticism ain't there.
But hold on, before you finish, there's a lot of people in the Euro League or and G League that can actually ball and deserve a chance in the NBA. So either which way you look at it, I understand where you're going with it. I want you to finish, but you could look at it from the other way too, because there are players that I personally know that didn't make it out of my city that could have played in the NBA. I know players right now that's overseas playing ball from Jersey City that could have been in the NBA, but they're not giving the chance to. But go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Right. So if you take one of those guys and send them back to the 60s, I guarantee you that they're an all-star.
Yeah, he's right.
He's
100% right.
I said I agree there. I didn't say that, Frank. I said I agree there. I can agree that the talent
they don't know what a crossover is. They don't know what a Euro step is.
But just because, and that's that blows my mind. Just because
like, bro, I'm pulling those out the bag.
Hold on, GK. Just because we see Euro steps. Just because we see Euro steps and Michael Jackson moonwalks on the damn court now, don't mean that back in the 60s, that's what they needed to do. The game was different. The game evolved. We got to respect the game for what it is over the time, because if those guys was never just dribbling the ball in front of them like this, we would never have the NBA we have today.
No, fair.
It would never be today. That's what I'm saying. You got to give them credit because they kept it up. Ratings, right. The NBA was fighting with the ADA until they gained control and was able to force the fuse to get more teams in, to make it more entertaining. Stuff like that happens. NBA went over trials and tribulations, but those players that were there when they went through the trials and tribulations, just how we saying Scottie deserves some respect, they deserve some respect too. Will deserves some respect. Bill deserves some respect. Will was the best player in his era. So what? Nobody could stop him. Will was the best player. Nobody could stop him.
But Will could have played in this era. Will could have definitely played in this era. Will would have cooked Shaquille O'Neal. Will would have cooked Shaquille O'Neal.
Whoa. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's debatable. It's debatable. It's debatable. Will my boy.
I don't know about
Will my boy, but
still wouldn't have a chance with Orlando Magic or LA Lakers Shaq.
Will, I don't know. He's too skinny. Yeah, that's chicken off the bone.
And mind you, Wilt don't got a post move to call us anything. Like he don't have no type of post game.
That's chicken off the bone.
What was Shaq's post game? Turn around and dunk on you?
Back you down and break the rim on your face. That's all you need when you 7'1", 300 pounds.
Anybody
Wilt is athletic. Wilt is athletic. He's an athletic specimen. He was great in track.
GK said something though and we just were talking about it, that is never talked about, man. You got jokers, man, that made a living in the NBA in the 50s, 60s, whatever, that wouldn't even make a D3 college team nowadays, man.
Come out. But GK's statement is 100% correct, and I agree with you, GK. I'm on your side. But that also fits today. You got people in the league today that don't damn belong there. And you got people that's not in the league today that belong there. Look at all of these guys that come out of the damn G League on 10-day contracts and be balling an hour or something.
How about this? I got one for you. With my skill level, I play ball, you know what I'm saying? With my skill level, okay, I'm an all-star back in the 60s right now. Straight up.
Will the kill is definitely setting your shit. Stop playing. You ain't getting nowhere near the basket. Will is setting your shit.
That's fine. I'm a shooter anyway. I'm a shooter. That's all good.
Will out there, bro. Will too long, bro. You ain't making. There was no goaltending back then. There was no nothing. Like I mean, if I'm smacking nigga shit out the rim, it went inside. I'm punching it back up.
Damn.
That don't count, ref. That don't count.
Listen,
Koozie and all them old jokers, they ain't got nothing on me. Get out of here.
On the other side
I
of
think
the
Jerry West played
argument,
this time in this league.
I'll never take away, like, when one man beats another man and that's the man he's supposed to beat, then yeah, you got to give him that type of credit.
Yeah.
But I just think like, to this whole theme of what we're talking about is like, not every win is created equal. Like, you got to look at the level of difficulty. Like, you know, some are going to be easier than others, and they don't always deserve the same type of credit. But to play devil's advocate to what me and Pete were saying, which, yeah, I do agree. If we could go back today and get one game in, we're going to cook them because they never seen our
it was a different game, but that's what I'm saying.
Well, no, yeah, but that's
all
the point.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you and Pete a question. If you go back to the 60s with their moves, are you cooking?
No, but that's what I was going to say was once
with their moves, you're going to play in the 60s. Why would you have 2020 moves? You're going to play in the 60s. Are you going to cook? No, because we're going to snap this shit. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead, GK.
Once they see our tape and they're like, oh, all right, that's a crossover. Like, we're going to start to do that. Then we might be coming into a little bit of trouble. But once we before they know,
no, GK, you go back and play. You go back and play with the 60s with their skill. You're not cooking, bro. You're not cooking. If
fair.
I get it because somebody always says, and I like this point, right? That if you take a player from back then and you put him in today's league, they would have to grow up to learn today's game. So they would have to be a kid. They would have to go to AAU. They would have to go to high school. They would have to go to college learning today's game. If you do that, most of the all-stars back in the day, any superstar of superstars will be able to play in any generation. I mean,
So Troy, it's funny you say that because whenever I talk about Allen Iverson, that's the point I always make because the kids at my park are like, they're like, tell me something that AI does better than Kyrie, this, that. And I'm like, bro, like,
I think they're similar in a lot of ways. Besides
it's the one man against the other man. Like, yeah, like had AI grown up the same type of time, like to your point, to where you were saying, and learned the game in that way and played the game in that way, then it would be a different story, right?
Let me help Scottie Pippen out real quick. If Scottie Pippen played in the 50s and the 60s, he's the greatest player of all time. He'd a GOAT.
He's a top 20, top 10 player.
But see, that's not even true because people, just like you said about Wilt and the Bill, it's too far back. That's what I hear people on people's podcasts. It's too far back. You can't give these guys credit because it's too far back. You haven't watched them play. You can't tell from the eye test. What are you watching? Highlights on YouTube? When that's not fair to say. You can tell what somebody did by as big as their name is. So Wilt name
I only
is a
know
big
one
name.
I only know one podcast. It's called From the Sideline. I don't know too many.
I watch other podcasts. But nah, great. I want to give everybody a round of applause.
Good stuff.
That was a great conversation, bro. That was a great conversation, man. We took way longer than what I thought. So
that's okay. That's all right.
I got a proposition, right? We could run through these NBA tiers as fast as we can, so I don't have a 3-hour show. Because we're approaching 2 hours now. And then after the NBA tiers, we're done. So you guys want to get through it?
Yeah, let's go.
GK, you good?
Yeah. Let's just go like speed round style.
Yeah, I got it all worked out this time. So, all right, you guys ready? We got the NBA tiers week 5. So, just a real rundown, Frank. What this is I rank the teams from their performance up into this week. So it's up into Saturday. Sunday starts my new week. So this is from the previous week all the way to the start of the NBA. And we're gonna start off, as you guys know, Pete and Katie on the bottom. So bottom tiers. These are the bottom tiers. They're called Who You Want. Get somebody. GK, what are your thoughts on the bottom tiers?
Magic are in trouble. Pistons are in trouble. Spurs, I feel so bad for the Spurs, man. Like, I don't understand why more talent don't want to go to play with Pop or what the issue there is or whatever. Like, after being a playoff team for so long, like all throughout the 90s, the early 2000s and the 2010s, and then now just a total drop off. And it's just a shame to see that happen. Because my whole life of being a basketball fan was just always the Spurs were competitive. But yeah, the Rockets, I actually really like Christian Wood. I don't know if they're going to get rid of him or not, but I really like him. And then the Pelicans, it's just a matter of health, I feel like, because I feel like they have a decent team if everybody's playing. It's not a bad roster, but the Magic, and the Pistons and the Spurs are kind of in trouble. The Rockets can at least make some moves if they want to deal Wood or build around him because they got that other really good rookie. So I would say they're just going to try to, keep building and not really dump the team and start over again. But yeah, a couple of them are in trouble.
Pete?
Yeah, GK summed it up. Nothing special down there. Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, talent-wise, right now, where we stand, probably the Pelicans, because they're not that healthy right now. So talent-wise, they probably have the most upside. I really like Ingram a lot. I think he can develop into being a really good player. And Zion Williams had the foot surgery, so he hasn't been out there playing. So other than that, everybody else is definitely where they need to be. Yeah. Popovich, great coach, terrible team. No Aldridge, no Patty Mills. That team is just completely depleted. After all that championship runs that they did with Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and all those guys, them pretty much ruling that whole little small era that they had, them days is over with. This is straight rebuild time for them.
Uncle Frank?
Yeah, I feel bad for Pop in the San Antonio Spurs, man. It just seems like maybe his style is getting a little outdated. I don't think the younger guys are really catering to his style. I'm gonna keep my eyes on what's going on in New Orleans. I know Zion just got cleared for one-on-ones. I'm keeping an eye on that situation. Who knows about Zion? I heard he went and got bloated over the summer, not being able to run, being on that, being off that foot. Like that's gonna be a big issue throughout his whole career, man. He got to get that. He got to really get that under control. And it's weird that he's still having weight problems after they said that they had got him some cooks and stuff to help maintain his eating and all that stuff, and he still managed to gain so much weight. The Rockets, I think the Rockets are. I love watching Jalen. What's his name? Jalen Green.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. He can score. He's a legit scorer. Even as a young 19-year-old man, 19, 20-year-old, he's a legit scorer. And I thought that team, even though that they're a young team, I thought they'd be a little bit more competitive. Out of all of the teams that I see on the bottom row, I definitely thought that they were going to be the most competitive, but they're still the most exciting team out of all of the teams on the bottom row. So if I got to keep my eye on the team, it's definitely going to be the Rockets.
We shouldn't even be saying feel sorry about the San Antonio Spurs because nobody's going to feel sorry for them. They got plenty of championships. I feel sorry for the Brooklyn Nets. Let them get a championship.
Well, I feel sorry for Pop. I hate to see Pop go through that so late in his coaching career.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, no, I would have rather him, like, I don't know, seen him go out the way I remember him and not like this.
That's a good point. Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
We got the next set of tiers. We got the teams that's a little bit better in my eyes, but it's all going down and these teams are falling. We got Sacramento, Indiana, Toronto, OKC, Minnesota. Uncle Frank, what's your thoughts on this tier?
Toronto Raptors got to be the most disappointing team on this tier. Then and year after year, the Minnesota Timberwolves. It looked like the Timberwolves they get something going, they get a couple pieces of talent, and then it just falls to pieces. I don't know what's going on over there. It seems like things are starting to get worse after whatchamacallit, the head coach, and went over to the Knicks. Thibs. Things are not turning
on a 3-game winning streak, though.
Yeah, they are on a 3-game winning streak.
I like the young talent over there in OKC. They got a couple young pieces over there that's gonna make some moves. And of course, we all keeping our eye on Sacramento to see how things improve and the Marvin Bagley situation, how that turns out over there. But yeah, Toronto got to be the most disappointing team in this whole bracket.
Pete, do you think Toronto deserves to drop that far?
Yeah, show me something different that doesn't make me drop you that far. And I think they will. I think they'll get it together. Nick Nurse, good coach, Siakam and them boys over there, Van Fleet. I mean, if they don't make the playoffs, then I guess you can really say, dang, they miss Kyle Lowry that much. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, I mean, Van Fleet, I don't look at Van Fleet as a point guard. I look at Van Fleet as more of an undersized shooting guard. So maybe they could use a point guard to run next to him because it seems to me like he's doing a lot of the Lowry role, but it's a matter of can he fill that Lowry role? So, Sacramento, maybe they'll get better with the new coach. I mean, that can only pump you up a little bit. The Indiana Pacers, I always think they're a good team. With Sabonis, Karis LeVert, and them boys over there. Malcolm Brogdon, I think, is a very good point guard. So yeah, these teams have room for improvement. Not a whole lot, but a step in the right direction.
GK?
I think the Raptors just need a little bit more talent because, like what Pete was saying, even if Van Fleet can fill the Lowry role, then who's going to fill the Van Fleet role? So, like, yeah. So I think they just need some more talent. And Siakam's not a superstar, but he's like a Scottie Pippen, right? So, so yeah. So I don't know. I'm not worried about the Raptors just because Nurse is such a good coach, right? Thunder young, Pacers young. Pacers, I don't really see. I don't know. They're probably just going to be where they are for a while. And then, yeah, the Timberwolves, bro, I don't understand really. Like, I feel like it might come down to that thing that you guys love that I always talk about, the testicular fortitude, because Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell got all the talent in the world. So that shit is like, like, you're not a dog, bro. You're soft. Like that, to me, that's what that tells me, is because the two of you guys should be winning because you got the talent, and it's just like you just don't have like, you're not the alpha male on the court. Like, I don't understand what it is, you know?
This poor Scottie Pippen. Are we really comparing him to Siakam?
No, I said Siakam like Pippen, like Siakam. Don't get it twisted.
Poor Scottie.
All right, the next tier, guys. We got wins for losings. Now, Minnesota, they win, but they also lose. The Lakers, they win, but they also lose. 76ers without Joel Embiid. They get some wins for losing. And Cavaliers, man, they fell from where they were, man. I think they're hanging on to like the 8th, 9th seed right now. So starting with Pete, what's your thoughts on this tier?
Yeah. The Lakers are going to get it together, man. Nobody's worried about them. I still think the 76ers got Ben Simmons as a cloud, this dark cloud hanging over them. Memphis is a good young team. Ja Morant. I couldn't think a couple weeks ago the young boy's name on a team that I really like a lot is finally coming to me. Dylan Brooks. He's not healthy right now. When he comes back, I mean, he's like, woo. He's a spark defensively. He gets in guys' faces. He scores the ball, plays defense. Yeah, I like Dylan Brooks a lot. Him running next to Ja Morant. Yeah, they got a good team over there, man. That's definitely up and coming, 100%. Yeah, the Cavs, Jared Allen, ex-net, big fan. All these teams here can surprise you at any point in time. But 76ers, I'm not really looking for much out of them until they can stop talking about Ben Simmons. His name don't have to come up no more, and we can move past him.
GK?
So in this group right here, I think the Grizzlies and the Cavs are pretenders, to be honest. Like, the Cavs have a lot of good young pieces, but I don't really think that they can win around in the playoffs. The Grizzlies play really good defense, and Ja Morant is the real deal. I just don't think there's enough around him. And then I agree with Pete about the Lakers. They're gonna figure it out. Like, everyone's got to put them on notice once it comes playoff time. I don't care what happens now. I really don't care what happens right now. And the Sixers, yeah. The Ben Simmons thing is really getting in their way, I feel like, just because it's still there and hasn't been resolved. Because Embiid is MVP caliber player, right? And then you have this asset of Ben Simmons that obviously doesn't want to play for the Sixers, and you can't get anything in return for him right now. So it's really, really, really screwing them up. Like, really screwing them up. Because, and I wouldn't even mind if he would just play and just be able to get along, because he is one of the best perimeter defenders that there is, and he can distribute the ball well. Like, he does a lot of things really well. But that's just like a dead spot that you need to fill somehow, whether it be trading him, playing him, whatever. But it is a problem. It is definitely a problem, and I don't see it being resolved anytime soon. So I would say, like, the Lakers, although they look the messiest right now, they're the ones I worry about the least out of these four.
Uncle Frank.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Memphis. I actually like Memphis. I think Memphis are actually a legit playoff contenders. I think that they're gonna be exciting come playoff time and come late in the season. I think they got to do a better job finishing games off, especially when they get big leads, man. They blow a lot of leads. The Lakers now, I'm actually hitting the panic button on the Lakers right now because the defensive end is the reason why I'm hitting the panic button. We as a Laker fan don't show no type of effort on the defensive end, and we get down with these big leads to these teams who shouldn't even be in the same ballpark as us. They're like, there's no way we should be down double digits at any point to the Detroit Pistons with LeBron, Russell Westbrook, and AD on the floor at the same time. Like those type of games can't happen. It has to get resolved sooner than later because the defensive problems aren't going to get better with a 36-year-old Trevor Ariza or with a Kendrick Chris Dunn, who's not really known as a defensive stopper. Like the guys that we're waiting for them to come back are not really defensive stoppers. They're more so spot up 3-point shooter scorers guys. Like that's not what we need. We need some defensive dogs. And I agree with him on the 76ers issue that they're going to be what they are until they get that Ben Simmons issue resolved. They're not a legit NBA contender. They're a playoff team, but I don't think that they pose any type of serious threat to any of the top teams on either conference when it comes down to it. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I just feel like it was just a matter of time before the league found out and caught back up to them, and they'll fizzle out. I think they'll fizzle out of that 8-7 seed, and somebody else into that playoff spot.
And Cavs you might find the Cavs down in Who Do You Want? Jared Allen. Mobley, who you want? Moving on to the next tier, we got the back in the game, right? Atlanta is starting to pick it up. Milwaukee got Chris Middleton back. They're starting to pick it up. Trailblazers on a 3-game winning streak. Boston won some tight games coming up, so I didn't move them up. Now I am a Boston fan. I was not being biased. I just didn't think Boston could have been put in a tier lower, but nah.
Can I ask you real quick? Is the Boston Celtics win over the Lakers while the Celtics are on the back in the game and the Lakers are on the wins for losing? The Lakers won, would that be switched?
No, the Lakers was actually, if I could grab the previous one, the Lakers was actually high. They were on my don't panic thing. What was it called, Pete? Better than you think or something like that. It was
right.
But the Lakers they've been losing games they should win. That's why I dropped them. That's the only reason why the Lakers dropped. They should have beat Boston. You are right. They should have won that game. But there's other games in the week that they should have won that they lost. I know they won last night, which was a game they should win that they almost lost again. You know, they should not be in tight games with teams they need to lose to. Boston, I see Tatum. I see some growth there with Schroeder. I see them actually trying to get back into their ways. They can drop again. It's not permanent. They might not stay here next week, depending on how they play. They might find themselves in a going down tier. That's where they were. I just felt like they played well enough this week to kind of move up because I had to drop Cleveland. And then I'm like, all right, am I going to put Boston below Cleveland right now? No. Am I going to put Boston below the 76ers right now? No. The 76ers don't have Joel Embiid. They don't have nobody. The Lakers right now are in that same realm because you don't know if LeBron going to be there. LeBron's back. Now LeBron might get suspended. So all that stuff is a factor to it. But while you're at it, you can go ahead first, Uncle Frank.
All right, I'm gonna start with the Atlanta Hawks. I had Atlanta Hawks as my sleepers last year. I still think that they're gonna be sleepers this year. I'm a real big fan of everything that they got going on over there. Their scoring machine. Once they can become more consistent on the defensive end too. I think they can start to make a late season push for that top 3 seed. I think they'll definitely end up in the top 3 seeds, top 3-4 seeds in the playoffs. Milwaukee Bucks is interesting to see what they're going to look like once they get Chris Middleton back. They've been a little as well, but all right. Well,
he played good. He played good last game. Yeah, he played good, really good. His last game, in the first game, he had like 16, 19 points or something like that.
Hopefully, they continue to build that chemistry back up and they get back to how they looked last year. I don't think that they'll be in the Eastern Conference Finals or anything. I don't think they're a championship contender. I do think that they're a solid, legit playoff team. They can definitely take out anybody. Portland, I don't know. I'm kind of, I find myself sometimes just sitting and waiting just waiting to hear that Dame is about to be dealt, or I'm waiting for him to request a trade any day now.
Well,
I
he just came
I
out
don't know
again.
why.
He just came out again and said that he ripped CD loyal. So
I mean, he's always been saying that. Then he'll go on Twitter and then throw the Lakers some hope, like he was thinking about coming with us. He does that from time to time. So I don't put too much focus into that. That's what he's supposed to say. He's still on the team. I wouldn't imagine him saying anything else. And the Celtics, they can very well be on the same list as the Lakers.
yeah,
On the same,
I can agree. Yeah, I can agree with that. Winston Lewis, I can agree with that. Pete, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, all playoff teams to me. All of them have a few things here and there that they're trying to figure out or get going. Middleton coming back actually absolutely makes the team better. Portland 3-game winning streak. Boston beating the Lakers the other night.
They won.
Yeah, man. I like Dennis
Thunder,
Schroeder a lot on Boston.
We
I
won
like
a
Dennis
game we
Schroeder
were
a lot.
supposed to win too. We beat the Thunder.
Beat the Thunder, right? Yeah, man. Atlanta. Yeah, I don't think I see Atlanta as a 3 seed like Uncle Frank said, but I see them making the playoffs again. I mean, they better make the playoffs again with how well they did last season. Yeah, it's just tough, man, because none of these teams to me are championship teams. I get it. I shouldn't be saying it about Milwaukee. They won the whole thing. And until you unthrone the champs, they still the champs. You know what I'm saying? So, and they got Middleton back. So really on that list, I think Milwaukee is the scariest team. They do pose the threat to the top teams that you would put possibly in a championship, your Phoenix Suns, your Nets, your Lakers, and teams like that. But Portland, if I was talking to Dame right now, I would tell him it's just gonna be the same old Trailblazers, bro.
Yeah.
You can have all that. You can have all that hope. Rip City forever and all that stuff. You know it ain't getting no better than what it is right now, man. You'll make the playoffs because you are that special of a talent, but you don't have enough help, and it's probably time to break this relationship up.
GK?
No, I like this tier a lot. I think everybody is where they're supposed to be. I feel bad for Dame because he's not going to win there.
No, he's not.
The Boston does look a lot better, and the Hawks and the Bucks, man, is very interesting. Because I agree with Frank about the Hawks. All the potential is there. The offensive potency is there. They maybe lack a little bit of veteran leadership. I know they have Gallinari and Lou Williams, but I don't know. We'll see when it comes playoff time if they have some guys step up and be like, the enforcer type. Because I feel like that's what they're really lacking. They need some like enforcers. But also don't sleep on the Bucks. And I would agree on Frank's take there too, except for the fact that like what Giannis has been showing me over the course of maybe the last 5 years, year after year, is that like he is a superstar in the truest form, because he's not just like relying on his gifts and his talent. He is really trying to become a master of his craft in all facets of the game. Like he got himself a little bit bigger. He's making himself a better shooter. He's become a better ball handler over the years and a better finisher. So all I've seen from him is him doing the right thing, saying the right thing, getting better, and better. And, having the mentality of a champion and like being like the best player in the league. Like, so it really won't surprise me at all if the Bucks somehow got to the finals or won the finals again. Am I saying that they're the most likely to do so out of all teams? No, of course not. But I would say like don't go to sleep on them.
Next tier of the bottom tiers, only for now. Charlotte, Clippers, New York. Basically, I don't know where they're going to finish. Clippers are holding on, I think, to the 6th seed right now. New York Knicks is like almost out, and Charlotte is holding on too. So starting with UGK, what do you think about this bottom tier?
I hate the Clippers, man. It's just 2-man show. PG, Kawhi. I actually like Kawhi, but I'm done with Paul George. I don't know. Whatever. When it comes playoff time and they need to count on him, he's not there for you. So I'm done with him. The Hornets I actually really like. I really enjoy the Hornets because they start feeling themselves a little bit, and that actually, that works sometimes. Like Miles Bridges and like some of their bigs and stuff, they're not really as good as like LaMelo's making them look. but it's working and they're gelling and they're clicking. And I love watching LaMelo. So I actually really like the Hornets. Are they a threat in the playoffs? Probably not, but they're a really fun team to watch and to root for. And then the Knicks, I don't know, man. The Knicks drive me absolutely crazy. As a Knicks fan, they just drive me crazy. So, they drive me crazy. Like, why isn't Kemba playing well? Like, come on, we're giving you a chance. Like, we're giving you a chance to play well. You're not playing well. Too much is being put on Julius Randle, right? Like, I think he's a good player. I just don't think he can be like the number one, like Giannis or whatever. Like, I think they need scoring to come from somewhere else. But I do like the improvements I'm seeing from RJ Barrett and some of the other young guys quickly. Burks is that dude. But same thing. Like, all right, maybe the Knicks can win round one this year. Maybe that'd be cool. That'd be fun for me. But are they a threat to contend for the title? No, of course not.
Uncle Frank.
I know the Knicks taking New York back. That's for sure. They definitely coming for New York back. They got
Cut his mic. Cut his mic.
They got New
Cut
York
his mic.
going crazy. Man.
You said
Cut
mute
his
him?
mic right now.
You said mute him? You want me to hit the mute button?
Cut his mic right now, man.
No, it's serious. They rejuvenating the city right now. All my New York friends, that's all they can talk about, man, is the Knicks. Everybody's excited. They playing hard. They showing the attitude. They're taking on the identity of Thibs. He's a great coach, great defensive coach. I do think that they're gonna need a legit number one option if they really want to be a threat in the Eastern Conference. Like GK said, I don't think I don't think they can win with Julius as the number one option, as the legit number one option. The Clippers are better off with I don't know. I think they got to get one of those guys out of there, and it's most likely going to be PG. But PG plays better when he plays without Kawhi. It's almost like the Baker Mayfield Odell situation. Like, they don't really play good together, but when one of them are out, the other one seems to flourish, and the team really flourishes behind one superstar. But I think it's too much you than me when they're both on the court together. And the Charlotte Hornets are definitely one of the most exciting teams. I love the Ball brothers. I think they're the top three passers in the league right now. They could just full court accurate passes, like bounce passes, alley-oop passes, half court alley-oops. Like, they're just a real fun team. They're real fun guys to watch, man. I really like them. I don't think that they're legit threat to anybody in the East come playoff time, but I do think that they'll at least be a contender. I mean, playoff contender.
Yeah, Charlotte Hornets, man, they just play with a lot of flair and excitement, man. Like LaMelo, man, he's got them like playing with his identity. I feel like,
they did take to him like that. Yeah,
like it's just, man, they win or lose. I'm glued to the TV when they're on the TV, man. They're just a super fun team to watch, man. As far as the Knicks is concerned, I mean, we've been saying it every week. They need a star. They need a superstar. I don't care who it is. It's got to be somebody. Julius Randle can definitely be a number 2 or a number 3. I compare Julius Randle's game somewhat. He's definitely a better scorer, but I compare his game a lot to like Draymond Green. Can do a little bit of everything. Can even get the team involved when it comes to passing and making the right moves with the ball and bringing the ball up. But he still needs a star, man. He really needs a star over there for the Knicks to definitely get over that hump. For whatever reason, every year free agency rolls around. Every year there's plenty of free agents that are available, but yet none of them come to Manhattan to go play with the Knicks. I don't understand. Yeah, listen. And they're well coached, man. Thibodeau's the man. I like him better than I like Steve Nash. I said that before. So Thibodeau's the man. They're coached right. He's gonna make sure they play hard. He's gonna make sure they get to the playoffs, but they still need a big free agent. I think that's what they're missing. Yeah, that's really it. Yeah.
No, hey, moving on.
Kimber would have been that big free agent pickup, man. I mean, he's been legit, but I thought his impact would have been a little bit better.
Who'd you say?
Kemba Walker.
Kemba Walker. Okay, yeah.
We talked about Kemba, Pete. We don't need to go back down that road.
Yeah. Kemba.
But the next bracket to the teams is I'm better than you. 2 teams that's better than about the teams below them, Denver and the Mavericks. Let's start with Pete. What are your thoughts, Pete?
Last Dallas game I saw, Luka was out. They played really good. They barely lost to Phoenix. I mean, Phoenix, I think, took it away with like 2-3 minutes left or something in the game or whatever. But they held with Phoenix all the whole time. Brunson was a starting point guard for them, and he's been playing lights out ball. You know a lot about Brunson. He was on the Celtics. He's been playing good in relief of Luka not being there. I didn't know Brunson could score the ball, distribute and everything, but it goes to show you when you give a guy that doesn't get a lot of playing time an opportunity, he's still an NBA player and can put up numbers.
He was a national
that was a
champion,
nice.
I believe.
Say it again?
I believe he was a national champion at Villanova, right?
And Villanova, there you go. So
That's
Brunson can
that's
ball,
my
man.
college team.
He's balling, man. And Denver Nuggets, listen, they gonna be in it when it's all said and done. Definitely waiting for Jamal Murray. That's a big help.
Jokic has been out too.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big help. Definitely 2 playoff teams. Out of the 2 of them, Dallas is the one that I really want to see take a step forward. Denver, I felt like, without Jamal Murray, they couldn't take that final step forward because they're there already. I feel like Denver's right there.
Western Conference Finals. So.
Yeah, they right there. But Dallas, I feel like I want to see what Luka can do, man. Luka's talked about the last couple seasons as like a favorite for the early season MVP and different things like that. We know what a baller he is. He's now got Jason Kidd coaching him. I mean, shoot, why not have a great point guard who's a Hall of Fame guy be the one talking to Luka and getting in Luka's head? I think that was a great move because I definitely thought Rick Carlisle had worn out his welcome. It was time to go in a different direction.
GK.
Yeah, I mentioned how I feel about the Nuggets before. And yeah, like Pete said, it's all about Jamal getting back. And then once he does get back, how quickly can he return to being the form he was? Then for the Mavericks, actually, they're surprising me a little bit. I do feel like they're improving. And I really think if Porzingis can play and stay healthy and be peak Porzingis, like how we've seen him at his best, which he's shown the past couple of games, I believe he's been playing well. So if we can continue to see that with consistency and staying healthy, then yeah, the Mavs are definitely a problem because Luka, for me, Luka's the best point guard in the league. So yeah.
Uncle Frank?
I think the Denver Nuggets are going to consistently be a top 3 team in the Western Conference for years and years to come. I like the edge. I like that edge that Jokic's starting to play with now. I like the chippiness that he's starting to display in the league. I think it's dope.
Him and Stewart about to get together. Like, yo, how you do that?
I don't know.
Yo, that anger can bring out that Super Saiyan.
You want to bring out the Jokic brothers though. That they look like a different story. But I think if they can take on that attitude, just like the Jokers, I think they'll continue to be a force in the Western Conference. Like I'm just like you guys. I'm waiting to see what Jamal Murray looks like when he gets back. Dallas Mavericks. I think they got to get rid of KP. I don't know if you guys know, like they plus minus is a little bit lower when both of those guys are on the court together. I think you could find a better matchup for.
But nobody wants him.
And for the life of me, I don't get why not. He's a 7'3" unicorn. He got great ability to block shots. He was a real solid defensive player on the Knicks those couple of years that he was over there. He can step out, hit the 3. He can be a number 1 scorer if he gets the opportunity. Just the health. He just got to stay healthy. I mean, that's the only real issue that I have with him. Like he's a matchup nightmare for anybody, really. But if you really want to unleash Luka, I think they got to get somebody that fits better with Luka's style, or probably it'd just be better sitting in the corner or something while letting Luka do his thing. Somebody who really doesn't need the ball because KP wants the ball, and that's gonna mess with the chemistry later on in the season come playoff time.
All right, staying with you, Uncle Frank. We got the next tier is called no sleep, and what that means is you can't sleep against these teams right here. All right, Jazz, Miami, and Chicago. All right, you go to sleep against them, and they're gonna put you to bed. All right,
Chicago is a legit team. They are.
Hold on, Uncle Frank.
Contender.
Hold on 1 second. Hey, Pete and GK.
Yes, sir.
I got a bone to pick with you too.
Oh.
Did you guys not notice on the last tiers we did, I did not have the Chicago Bulls on that tier at all?
What, last week?
Mm-hmm.
That flew by me.
Now that you say it, but at the time, no.
I went and peeked at it. I'm doing the tiers last night. I always used the one before, and I'm like, the fuck are the Bulls? Throwing the payment in, like, where the fuck did I put
Well, listen, that makes sense. We've been disrespecting Scottie Pippen so much today. Disrespect the Bulls. I mean,
I made sure they was on here. Go ahead, Frank. I made sure they was on here.
All right, good. Yeah, the Bulls are. I think they might be the best team in the league. They're at least they're playing like it. DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and with Lonzo Ball, those guys are playing like legit stars, and they mesh. They seem to mesh right off the rip. Caruso's been a little bit up and down, but for the most part, he's been solid for him. I really like the Bulls, man. They're a legit threat to any team in the East. They have the firepower on both ends of the floor to compete with anybody, Western Conference or Eastern Conference. The Utah Jazz, I just think that they are what we think they are. I mean, they always seem to be at the top. Then come playoff time, they really show you who they are. I think that they'll be in the same boat as they were the last couple of years. They'll be a top 2, top 3 team. They get to the playoffs. They might squeeze out the first round, or they might get bounced depending on the matchup. The Miami Heat, for a team that had the best free agency, I believe. I don't know. I'm not completely sold on them as a legit championship contender. I think they're a playoff team. They're legit. They're scary to match up against, but I don't put no stock into them winning the championship or being a championship contender. I just think they need a couple more solid pieces. They need a legit number 1 star. Jimmy Butler is just a great leader, I believe.
G King.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Heat. They're good, not good enough to be a championship threat. But for the Bulls confuse me. I enjoy watching them and everything.
They're fun to watch.
I think that maybe they might at some point or another run into some issues because I don't know how they're going to match up in the front court, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. And then the Jazz, exactly, Frank hit the nail on the head, I think. I think you're just going to see the same thing that we've been seeing from them. I don't know if they can improve upon what we've seen. And that's what it is for them. I guess that's why they haven't really, it's essentially the same team, right? And that's why they haven't really made any major changes. I guess it's because they're thinking that they can improve upon what they've showed, that they can get better. But I just don't know that they can, because Rudy Gobert is a key element to their success, and we've seen how he can be a detriment to them defensively when he gets caught on an island when they put a stretch big out there or whatever, and then you don't know what to do. So I really don't think that they can win if they made it to the finals. I don't think that they could win, but I do really think that Donovan Mitchell is that guy. Maybe just a different situation, but I don't think he can get it done with the Jazz.
Pete?
Yeah, as far as Miami and Utah, because they pretty much are what they were as far as the members on their team have been the last couple seasons. I get it, 2 seasons ago in the bubble, Miami made the championship and all that, but nobody saw that coming. I do think with Butler, there are definitely some dogs, but that's not enough to get them over the hump or even get them back into another championship. To me, the team on this list is just Chicago. They're the ones that, because they're so brand new at what they are right now, and that entire team has been shuffled into something different, they're the ones that we really can't speak on too much, except for the fact of what we've seen so far. And so far, it looks pretty doggone good. So with that being said, Chicago's the one where, I want to see how far can they go? How many rounds can they get through when the playoffs actually come? Can they be a surprising team like Atlanta Hawks were last year and make it to the conference final? Or can they do better and do like Miami did 2 seasons ago in the bubble and actually make a championship? So that's pretty much it there. But they're a lot of fun to watch, and I'm just super, super impressed with the fact that you got Vucevic and Caruso and DeRozan and LaVine, and you never know that this was their first season playing together because the chemistry looks amazing.
Do they have Wendell Carter coming back?
Yeah, I ain't heard about him in a while. I forgot all about him, actually.
Wendell was kind of nice too. Could play a good.
Because I feel like they're gonna need, because really, I mean, after Vucevic, I mean, I know they play small ball, but what do you got after Vucevic? I feel like they're gonna need Wendell Carter back. I don't really know what his injury status is, but
Yeah, we gotta check on that. But next tier, we're gonna stay on Pete. We got all eyes on us, which is Suns on a 12-game winning streak as of today. But as of the list that was made that counts towards this, they were on an 11-game winning streak. And the Wizards are second in the Eastern Conference. So
Yeah.
what do you think, Pete?
Yeah, Phoenix is unbelievable right now. Unbelievable. We talked a lot about it in the last episode. Yeah, Chris Paul. Chris Paul's not letting these guys fall off from where they were last season. I expect them to see them exactly where they were last season. Maybe not the championship, because there are other teams that could have something to say about it. But I mean, still, it could still be a conference final, and that's still a pretty good season. I get it for a guy like Chris Paul, who has been around a long time, and you don't know exactly how much longer of a career he has. It kind of needs to happen now. Chris Paul doesn't think in terms of, oh, I still got next season, because he's definitely the older vet on the team. But as far as where they're at right now, why not be walking around like you're the best because you're playing like the best? As far as the Washington Wizards are concerned, I look at them kind of like the Chicago Bulls, man. It's kind of like a new thing you got going over there with a couple new players and things like that. And it's really working out, man. Chicago Bulls and Wizards are two teams that you have to really look out for, because when it comes to 8 teams making the playoffs, it's like, well, hold on. If I'm putting the same 8 teams in and I got Chicago and Washington that are way better than they were last season, what are the 2 teams that aren't going to make the playoffs next season to allow a team like Washington and Chicago to get in this season? So Chicago and Washington, I would say right now, when it's all said and done, they're going to be in the playoffs. It's a matter of what 2 teams' places they're going to take.
Uncle Frank.
As a Lakers fan, it's a little bit bittersweet watching the Washington Wizards go off like how they going off. The way that Trez is playing is exactly how we should have been playing him when he was in LA. I'm happy for Kuzma. I definitely think it was the right move for him to leave LA, but I'm glad to see him flourishing like how he's flourishing out there in Washington. He definitely got the confidence to do it. And as far as the Phoenix Suns, I think the Phoenix Suns, they have to be in a win now mode, like win now mode type of mentality. I think their window is going to be short, especially after this year, because we don't know how much longer Chris Paul got left in the tank. And this is hands down his best chance to win. I think it'll probably be Devin Booker's best chance to win as well. It has to come together this time. I think this year will probably be their best year or their best chance, unless they can manage to grab some great free agents within the next couple of years. But this looks like it might be their best chance to get back to the finals, to win, especially with the Lakers playing like how they're playing. I don't see anybody who they can't beat in a 7-game series in the Western Conference.
GK?
Yeah, the Suns play very well defensively, and I just think their roster construction in terms of their chemistry and how they're made up, and how everybody fills their role, is just like perfect. Like, they're like, hats off to their coach and GM. I feel like they assembled a team that's perfect for complementary to Chris Paul and vice versa, and Devin Booker and Ayton. And then the Wizards are pretty cool because they were kind of overlooked up until now or recently, and also they're going to be getting back Roy Huchimara. He's got a lot of talent, but a lot of talent and not a lot of hype. So if he's able to gel into what they got going on, then yeah, the Wizards are going to be a legitimate playoff team. Can they win it all? Probably not, but fun to watch too.
Staying with UGK, last tier, top of the top, tippy top.
Oh,
this is the tippy top. We got all the way up. We got Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets at the top. GK, what are your thoughts?
So the Warriors are interesting. Like, I would say, as they are right now, I would be worried that I would say they probably can't win a championship. But knowing that they have Clay coming back makes all the difference in the world, that they're able to be this successful without him. So, if he's able to return to the form that we've seen him in, then yeah, they're going to be a problem. The Nets. I don't know. I'm a little biased because I'm a Durant hater, but but I've always been a James Harden fan, and when you have several guys on your team that can score like 30, 40 points on any given night, then you're going to be a problem. And I don't know. Honestly, I think Harden's more important to the team than Durant, even though Durant may be the more versatile scorer or whatever. But yeah, just having those two guys on your squad, no matter who the other 10 guys are, they're basically going to be contending for the championship. So they look good so far. So we'll see.
Uncle Frank.
I don't know how I feel seeing the Brooklyn Nets at the top. I'm not all the way sold on them without Kyrie. I'm not sold on the chances to be the all-out favorite in the Eastern Conference.
So they ain't the all-out favorites. They're not the all-out favorites. They're just the best team in the East right now. Next week, they could be in the second, third tier, depending on how their week go. But right now, Brooklyn is the best team in the East.
I would lean more towards the Chicago Bulls. I think that if they met up with the Chicago Bulls in a 7-game series right now, without Kyrie, I would bank on Chicago in a 7-game.
I would take Chicago on that one too, but right now, Chicago is like 4th or 5th in the league.
Yeah,
Brooklyn's been like what 8-3, 7-3 on the last 10. So
yeah, and in my heart, I want to switch. Phoenix and Golden State, but just knowing that they got Clay coming back, I'll leave them up there just because they're playing so great without him.
So you would say that Golden State's 9-1 in the last 10 is better than? Oh, it's not better than Phoenix's.
Yeah, because they haven't really beat a lot of great teams.
Neither has Phoenix. We talked about this last episode. Neither has Phoenix.
I think, but Phoenix wins better as a team. You feel me? The Golden State wins. They wins are a little bit they're somewhat impressive, more impressive because of what Steph Curry does. But with the Phoenix Suns, you look more as a team effort. I just think as an overall team that the Phoenix Suns is the cream of the crop right now as far as the Western Conference. But as I can't argue with how Golden State's been playing, especially with the streak Steph been on. Steph been going crazy. Jordan Poole's been outrageous. He's probably the most improved player of the year as of right now. And they still got a bunch of pieces that's meshing. Andrew Wiggins starting to mesh well with them. Draymond be having his moments, but for overall, he's been the glue. You feel me? They still got a great coaching staff. So I mean, I wouldn't blink my eye at it, but if I had to choose the better teams, I would probably switch than the Phoenix.
I would say this before you go, Pete. If Phoenix continues this win streak through the middle of this week and then get to like 15, then you might see Golden State. You just might. I don't know what holds in this week, but I can't agree that Philly Suns, not Philly, Phoenix Suns, they are that type of caliber team right next to Golden State, but I just think Golden State plays a better game right now. Phoenix has more of a game to slow you down, where Golden State, they don't even care. They play good defense. They play good offense. You got to keep up with these guys. And even if you have
Phoenix to play inside or outside, that's what makes them so dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not really basing this on, say, like a team's actual record right now, and we're just basing it on, say, for instance, like an overall look of how good the team really is, I mean, anybody can argue and say Chicago could be in that Brooklyn Nets spot, Washington could be in that Brooklyn Nets spot, because they're playing great ball right now. But at the same time, if I'm looking at it as who I expect to be there when it's all said and done, then I got to put Brooklyn in front of Washington and Chicago. Washington and Chicago are two teams that are brand new teams, brand new rosters. You're showing me something now, which is great, which is why you're ranked where you're ranked right now. But Brooklyn is just Durant, Harden. That speaks volumes. These are guys who have proven track records. These are guys that went to a game 7 against Milwaukee when it came to going to the championship, like all that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's fine, but I understand any argument to put any of those two teams in that place, just like I understand the argument if you want to put Phoenix where Golden State is. I mean, as a matter of fact, when it comes to all the way up, I mean, shoot, maybe there's room for 4 teams to be up there and not 2 teams to be up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you left Golden State off the list, Phoenix Suns could have something to say about it. You leave Phoenix off the list, I'm saying if you left Golden State off the list, Golden State fans could have something to say about it. You leave Phoenix off the list, Phoenix Suns. So it's just like, these are all good teams where it's like, it's almost not fair to just put 2 up there and not like maybe 4 teams or 5 teams, because they all have really good arguments for their case.
See, and this is the only thing. So when I say I'm going off weeks, I mean, I'm literally going off of how your team played in a week. It's not an individual player. Don't care how KD did. Don't care how James Harden did. So the Chicago in the last 10 games, 6-4. Washington last 4 games, 6-4. Brooklyn last 10 games, 8-2. So I mean that tells you there's a difference. No, Brooklyn isn't playing up to what we think they are, but at the same time, Brooklyn is that team that you're going to have to go through, because KD is not going to allow you guys to think that it's just an easy walk in the park. Look at what KD did by himself last year in the Eastern Conference Finals against Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay,
that's valid.
So that's why right now Brooklyn's there. But like I said, Brooklyn can move. Golden State, I could surely see Golden State if they drop a couple of games this week and Phoenix keeps winning. Phoenix going up to the top spot, Golden State winning. But just in the way that the teams are playing and getting the wins that they're supposed to win, Chicago dropped some games, Washington dropped some games. That's why you guys seen the Cavaliers drop so far, because now the Cavaliers are 6 at what? 9-8. The Bucks are 9-8. Boston's 9-8. The Knicks are 9-8. So it's like, I think Cleveland's a better team in this week going 6-4 than Milwaukee 6-4? No. Do I think they're going a better team than Boston 7-3 in their last 10? No. So that's how I determine. It's not about individual play, or it's about how the team is playing, the wins that are they getting the wins they're supposed to get this week, or are they losing to the teams they're supposed to beat? And that's how I move them. Like Cleveland is going to fall. Go ahead, Pete.
No, I was just saying, put it like this. On that entire page you have up there, the right teams are on that entire page. Just because you're not on the top tier, or maybe you're in the middle or one down, out of 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, out of them 9 teams, they the right teams for this page. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think any team could end up on the bottom page, the bottom tiers for a week or two, especially the Dallas Mavericks, because they didn't play with Luka They're not playing with Luka. The Nuggets are missing Jokic right now too. The last 2 games they played, they didn't have Jokic. So you could see somebody like the Kings be right there, but who knows? We don't know. GK, did you touch on anybody? Got anything else to add on it?
No, the only thing I was just thinking about, random, was like, when are the Nuggets really going to unleash Ball? Because good every time he gets out there. So when are they going to let him be like an actual part of the rotation? Because then that poses a problem, I think.
Same thing as Taco Falls, right? Taco Falls, same thing.
I love Taco, but
he
got as highly skilled as Bobo. Got a little bit more skills. He got a little bit more in his bag.
And Taco reminds me of a Sam Bowie. He's gonna have a lot of leg injuries. But yeah, we're done. We're at the end of the show. We're gonna start off with final thoughts and get our asses up out of here, because we've been here for 3 hours. So I don't even know how I'm gonna edit this motherfucker, but we're gonna figure it out. All right. But Frank, what's your final thoughts, man? Thank you for stopping by, man. We appreciate you stopping by, giving us some time again.
I always appreciate you guys having me, man. Anytime you guys need me to come over here and talk to you guys, man, I'm here.
Appreciate it.
My words is don't put too much stock into my Titans loss. We will bounce back Sunday. We're gonna get right back to shocking the world. You know what I mean? We're gonna take out the New England Patriots, and hopefully we can get that train back rolling. Hopefully in the next 3-4 weeks, maybe we can get Derrick Henry back on the field. Keeping my fingers crossed about that. We got a lot of great football, man. I hope you guys, everybody, enjoy your Thanksgiving. If I don't get a chance to see or talk to any of you guys, man, blessings to you guys and your families.
Appreciate that, man.
DK,
likewise.
Final words. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, same thing. Hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving. But like I was mentioned earlier about the Knicks, like, yo, give us Dame or like Donovan Mitchell, and then we'll see what's up. Give us a score like that, one of them two, right? Yeah, and then tonight, don't be surprised if the Giants are like an 11-point underdog, which they may very well get blown out. but also don't be surprised if it's a lot closer than you may think. Tampa's got a lot of injuries still, and Tom struggles when if you can rush 4 without sending extra blitzers, then Tom has a really tough time. That's the formula to beat him. That's like literally the only way you could beat him. So if the Giants are able to do that, the game's going to be a lot closer than people think. So yeah, that's just my thought on that. 11 points is a lot to cover. Don't take them to lay that.
Man.
Pete, end us off, Pete.
Yeah, you know what? I was just getting ready to touch on the Giants. He's 100% right. One thing too is it don't mean a whole lot, but a couple seasons ago when Daniel Jones's first start, it happened in Tampa Bay. 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 throwing. Maybe he likes the warm weather in Florida. Maybe he shows us something different tonight and goes back to that first game form where he just played out of his mind. The only thing that just doesn't bode well for the Giants is Tampa Bay, I feel like, is a scary team coming off a loss like the one they took last week. It's like this could just be the get right matchup for Tampa Bay to like, okay, we got the Giants on our table. Let's run through them and show everybody it was a fluke what happened to us last week. Not to worry. We're still the Super Bowl champs. We're still the Super Bowl favorites. But as a Giants fan, I do think they got a chance. I mean, I don't want to see my Giants get blown out tonight. Show that, you know what? Dallas played bad. Maybe you can sneak into a wild card if you don't win the division, but it has to start tonight. Teams like the Giants, Philly, and Washington, you can't afford to lose no more, especially if you know Dallas is going to win the division, because that only opens up a wild card spot for you. Even though Dallas lost to the Chiefs, I still got Dallas winning that division. So the division hopes are already out the way. Don't think division, especially when you're the Giants and you lost to teams like the Atlanta Falcons and lost to the Washington football team. 2 extra wins you could have right now that you don't have. So go out there, play them tough, and try to be in the game when it's 3, 4, 5 minutes left. And who knows what could happen. But don't get blown out tonight, Giants. Stay within that spread, please. Happy Thanksgiving also to everybody.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So,
And with that said, man, we're out of here. Happy Thanksgiving to you people. We're dropping another episode Friday, which is after Thanksgiving. So enjoy your Thanksgiving. Well, we drop Saturday. Sorry, get my days mixed up. But we record another one Friday. Frank, if you want to come back Friday, I'll hit you up. Let me know. GK, I hope to see you Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for stopping by, man. This was some good conversations we had today. So I'm leaving this conversation a 3-hour show. But it was hella fun. All right, you guys made some good points. I love that GK came at me when I was just talking about.
Everybody had the boxing gloves on.
Right, everybody had the boxing gloves on. Everybody father was watching him like Crawford's father last night. All right? Everybody was watching him. I heard what he said after the fight, man. I can understand it from a dad's point of view. He said he didn't prepare the way he wanted him to. He wasn't prepped. He was getting his ass beat a little bit. His father was like, "This guy gonna do some damage to him. I don't want to see that."
Yeah.
But yeah, on that note, man, we'll see you guys next episode. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.